Hello, family and friends. Welcome to another Talks with Liem Lee. I do this intro so many times. This is available to the billions of people around the world on YouTube in 4K and also in audio on Spotify, Pandora, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, CastBox, and so many other platforms. I'm your host. I'm Liem. I'm a software engineer. I've been doing it for about 2 decades. And today my sidekick is...
Emmett Morgan. Are you broadcasting on the darknet?
No, not yet. I would like to.
Okay, soon to be coming onto the darknet. If you have an Onion browser and you go through the Tor. I am Emmett Morgan. I'm a realtor in Las Vegas. I have a degree in accounting. I am a boring dude compared to our mysterious guest today. We've had to not show his face. He's under anonymity. We're going to blur his voice. He's agreed to talk with us so that he can share his story and his experience. We've had to do all this because he's in trouble with the feds. He's here. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself without telling us too much, we're going to wander into some dangerous territory. Who are you and what do you do?
My name is Slayer Ranger. I am a former Black Hat hacker that has turned into a Gray Hat prior to my Computer Fraud and Abuse Act conviction. I am charged and convicted of attempting to hack into United Airlines with a spear phishing email while impersonating the Federal Aviation Administration and TSA using a customized remote access Trojan. I am currently on 3-year supervised release after serving 2 years in federal prison.
Holy cow.
Awesome. So we talk about all that. We talk about everything related to that. We talk about the top 3 security tips that commoners should use.
Yeah, normal people.
Normal people. I like to say commoners for some funny reason.
You're a royal king.
No, I'm part of the commoners, man.
Oh, sorry.
That we talk about prison time. We talk about the experiences in prison, the prison riots. Man, audience, stay tuned.
It's a roller coaster.
Cut. Tell us the story behind you and United Airlines.
Not exactly hacked, a try to hack. Yeah.
But that's the one you got in trouble for?
Yes, that's the only crime for Computer Fraud and Abuse Act that I've been convicted of.
Convicted and gone to jail for. And still currently, what's the term?
Probation?
Yeah. There's
a supervised release. There's a difference between federal supervised release and federal probation. Federal supervised release is less, Gestapo-like than, probation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have restrictions on where you can go?
I do not have restrictions on where I can go, but I am subject to a forensic investigation of my computers, laptops, hard drive, digital media, cell phones at the probation officer's discretion whenever they suspect me of any sort of nefarious activity.
Okay. So you've given up your digital privacy. Well, you didn't have a choice, I guess, right?
Correct. But there's something even worse than that. It's called a computer and internet monitoring program. My original plea bargain was they were going to put me on the computer internet monitoring program, which is basically they install this federally sponsored malware onto your computer. It only works on Windows computers, so if you use a Linux laptop, you have to install Windows on it now. And it will slow down the hell out of your computer. There is a keynote provided by Stephen Watt, the hacker that caused the TJ Maxx hack with Albert Gonzalez. Stole maybe $200 billion in credit cards. He did 2 years for writing the sniffer program, and he was placed on the computer internet monitoring program after he left SeaTac, which is the Seattle-Tacoma complex.
Yeah.
It's a federal prison in Washington.
Oh, we know it as an airport. Oh, so there's a SeaTac prison as well.
Yeah, there's a SeaTac prison, federal prison. Yeah.
Dude, I'm learning already. This is insane.
Yeah. Oh, the Feds has its own system. Yes. The Feds has like a national menu.
Yeah.
Thursday lunchtime, you always get chicken on the bone, which is better than steak. Like you get real chicken on the bone. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But where were we at?
So originally, so you've done some hacking things and you got caught and busted for trying to crack into United Airlines.
That's correct.
So that's tough. Like a lot of Americans have a positive view of United Airlines, right? So they're going to go, well, why are you trying to hack into them?
Not at 2017. There was a man named David Dao that got beaten up and dragged off a plane. He was shown for about maybe 3-6 months on social media.
Yeah.
And they called him the Asian Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
I thought that, name or nickname is absurd. He's just an Asian doctor that got beaten up by a bunch of United Airlines executives and dragged off a plane.
Wait, it wasn't literally executives, right? It was...
It was executives. Executives wanted the seat that David Dao was sitting on.
Oh.
He out of 5 people, he was the only guy that did not vacate his seat because he paid for his ticket.
Yeah.
And, he got beaten up and dragged off a plane. I was reading on Twitter about all these Asian right groups call him the Asian Rosa Parks, and I thought that was just weak shit.
Yeah.
I thought, they make these kinds of comments on Twitter, and then they go back to playing League of Legends.
Yeah.
They don't do shit.
Right.
I did something.
So this was your motivation for hacking United?
Correct. And methamphetamine. I was very high. So it was a combination of anger, methamphetamine.
Man, I'm blown away already. I have so many questions. I'm trying not to derail you from your story. So you mentioned we saw the social media story of the dude got dragged off the plane, and you felt there was a great injustice there, and you go, people aren't doing shit, so you were motivated to go.
Right.
So you're
amplified by meth.
Yes.
I would like to tell you about the crazy, insane fantasies I had in my mind about what I was actually going to do once I gained a foothold in United Airlines. But that could probably bring in me like a far greater indictment,
Right.
Yeah.
No, well, so we can focus on if you want to tell your story. So what did you do? Because most people aren't computer people. So when you say you hacked in, we have a vague idea.
Well, generally, according to the cybersecurity kill chain, the first step is to gain a foothold. A foothold could be anything like running an exploit against a vulnerable unpatched server, and it throws back a command shell, and then you can escalate your privileges through that command shell to get to root or system.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you own everything on that computer. Then you perform something called a pivot, which is also known as lateral movement, where you use that compromised machine to jump into another machine and then attack other machines, hopefully looking for the domain controller for Microsoft Windows systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were able to tap into United's computers.
Well, what I did was I did some open source intelligence. I simply used Google.
Yeah.
I found the emails of United Airlines executives. I then wrote a spear phishing email. Spear phishing is when you target spear phishing is actually like there's phishing, spear phishing, and whaling. Whaling is just the same as spear phishing in my opinion. Because phishing, it means that you send a phishing scam email, you hope someone clicks and pays you Bitcoin or something, or runs the payload.
Should we explain? Phishing is also, so like an email could say, this exec deals with, let's say, Hertz car rentals. So you would send an email saying you're from Hertz and they've won an award or something.
Right,
and
exactly.
Then, and to phish it, it would your email, email address would say joe@hertz.com, even though it's from some other IP address or address, but it shows up as joe@hertz.com, so they think it's legit.
Right. So because of that, also at the time, United Airlines did not have 3 checks installed for their emails for security. There's 3 types of email security standards you can use. Could be used on your web domain right now. It's called SPF, Sender Policy Framework.
Yeah.
Then you have Domain Keys Identified Mail.
Yeah.
And then you have DMARC. And these 3 frameworks basically verify that the sender is who they are. So that email spoofing wouldn't work. It would just either get flagged or thrown in the spam folder.
So at that time, did United have their own internal email system? Is that what you were going into? Or
yes.
Because like a lot of companies would use an Outlook email, right? Is that different than...
No, they have their own internal email system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where they're hosting and storing all their own internal... Okay, yep.
Right. I mean, I should have went through my discovery, more, but I do remember it came from United Airlines domains, and I did find an email address to impersonate that came from IT. Mm-hmm. But I instead chose someone. I can't say the name, unfortunately.
That's okay. Yeah.
But she has an email from the Federal Aviation Administration.
Ah.
So playing upon the David Dao story, I basically made an impersonated message saying, please review these new guidelines from the FAA and TSA for airport screening procedures. And within it is PDF files that contain a remote access Trojan. So when they open the PDF file, they won't see anything. Yeah. But I would have already gotten access in their system at that very moment.
Just from the fact of opening the PDF.
Of opening the PDF.
Wow.
Is spear phishing? Sorry, just to jump back to be more clear. So spear phishing, you found these email addresses of United Airlines execs, and the spear part is you know the 10 people that you want,
right?
And you send 10 emails directly to these 10 people, whereas typically, I think in a spam phishing type of thing, it's email 1 million people and hope you get one person. Okay, and then the whale is the whale thing that's similar, or what?
I think whaling is going after the top executives, the CEO. But I think it's just something that some wannabe cybersecurity professional / fraud pulled out of their ass.
Gotcha.
Okay. Nowadays I use techniques like Tor over VPN. I have realized that I have used Tor over VPN 2 years before someone on Google came up with the term Tor over VPN. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these quote unquote cybersecurity professionals, they pull terms out of their ass to make themselves look cool.
Yeah.
So when you see all these coverages from so-called cybersecurity professionals on CNN about the Colonial Pipelines hack, we don't even know who these people are. They're not Palantir Technologies. They're not Imperva. They're not CrowdStrike. They're just some nobody that wants to promote their own dumb-assed, cybersecurity business. They just want their 30 seconds of fame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's free advertising.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So then once the was it the United Airlines exec that opened that email that they thought was from FAA, and then what did you do from there?
Well, at that point, I would have gained a foothold, but I probably would have not had an administrative account. I would do a technique called privilege escalation. Privilege escalation would require things like using an exploit on a vulnerable application to exploit it to gain root privileges, or to find a system misconfiguration, or if the executive is stupid enough to leave a passwords.txt file on the desktop folder, and then I find that, and then I can just immediately become admin. Yeah.
For some of these tools that you're using, are they things that you've purchased online, or you're custom building, or you've learned, and is it open source stuff that you're pulling online? Or
this is the most disturbing part, is that my tools are either something that were open source, or that I developed, or that I stole.
Yeah. Just
when I got out of federal prison right now, I found out that the much well-known Cobalt Strike by Raphael Smudge, which is a Strategic Cyber LLC. Cobalt Strike is a post-exploitation command and control framework, and it uses these beacons that can talk to other beacons within a compromised network to act as proxies to exfiltrate data. It uses malleable C2 profiles. C2 means command and control, so it can change its traffic at will. It has different obfuscation encryption modules within to make the payload harder to detect. It usually is a $3,500 license. You must provide a company name so that, Strategic Cyber LLC knows that they're not selling to cyber criminals.
Yeah.
But last March, somebody leaked the source code to Cobalt Strike 4.0.
Yeah.
So now Cobalt Strike 4.0 to 4.2 is now on GitHub for free.
Damn.
So now bad actors, and it's well known within darkreading.com that a lot of bad actors, including Russian hackers, are using Cobalt Strike as either a first stage or a second stage payload to, do real malicious hacking.
Well, so shouldn't GitHub not share that then? Is GitHub...
GitHub is cracking down, but I still keep finding copies.
So they can't catch them as fast as they're being posted up.
Right. There's about over 1,000 forks after the source code leak. And the original source code leak is already still online. It's written in Java.
Yeah.
So you only need a Open Java Developer Kit 11 to compile Cobalt Strike.
Yeah.
And now you have the latest edition or near latest edition of Cobalt Strike.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of say a story, then there's a question at the end towards what I'm going to ask you. When I was in college for computer networks back in 2002, 2001, one of my classmates, I went over his house where I think I was asking for a copy of Windows or something. I forget back then what I was doing, but he started showing me all these things. He's like, "Hey, I bought this Trojan horse that does this. If I send it to our teacher at school, then I could get into their computer."
Right.
And he was saying, "Yeah, I bought this for like 50 cents online, and then here, check out this other one I bought." So, my question to you is how is that different nowadays? Is it much easier? Is it free? Some of the things he was saying, I think it was like $1, $5, $10.
Oh, now you're looking at maybe $20,000.
Woo!
Yeah, for a FUD, fully undetectable Trojan written by Russians on these Russian hacking forums.
Oh, damn.
So I probably have not properly introduced myself. I am the Slayer Ranger. I am deeply entrenched in both the good and the bad guys. I've known people that work for penetration testing companies, various managed security service providers, including CrowdStrike, which is well known for detecting malware. They were the ones that came up with hybridanalysis.com. They have a malware analysis engine called Falcon.
You say you used to work at CrowdStrike?
Oh no, I don't work at CrowdStrike. I know people that worked at CrowdStrike.
Yeah.
I did get interviewed prior to my FBI indictment for Booz Allen Hamilton.
Yeah, that's a big defense contractor.
Right, they're probably the only defense contractor that contracts only to the government, including the NSA. For me, they're planning to, at the time, they don't want me anymore, obviously. But they
too much bad side on you.
Yeah. They wanted me to do penetration testing against the United States Navy vessels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you describe penetration testing just for the common user that may not know computers at all?
Well, penetration testing, there's actually very different types of penetration testing. But penetration testing is just basically being hired by a client company to hire a group of red teamers / penetration testers to see if they can break into their systems. And it doesn't necessarily have to be computer systems. It can be physical systems. Like I know there's people that, that also had a YouTube video where they hacked a power plant. I can't mention his name. I can't mention the company, but they're well known for hacking they're paid to hack a power plant in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And they use physical penetration testing. So they can use things like a shove it tool, which basically bypass the bolt and lock mechanism behind the door to open a lock.
Yeah.
They also check for locks to see if they're poorly built. They can also use lock picks. I know how to use lock picks tool. As well as, for me, what I would do if I were to break in is use a slide hammer puller. They're called dent pullers. So you can go to AutoZone and buy or rent a dent puller.
Yeah.
And you just take a titanium screw and you put it at the end of the dent puller, and then you just rip out the lock. It obviously breaks the lock, but you get what you want.
So you can't sneak in, but you can break in.
Right.
So penetration testing is if a big company or organization has something they're trying to secure, physically and connected computers. They're saying, hey, we've set up all this stuff. We hire all these people. We got millions of dollars invested in protecting what we're trying to protect. So we want to test it to see if it works. We want to hire you to be the bad guy. We're going to hire you to try to break our system because we want to know where we're weak.
Right.
If you're coming in from the outside, what are you going to think of that we didn't think of? What path in are you going to find that we didn't already defend against? So now we can step up our defense and adjust our system to Right. Okay. So that's when you're penetration testing, you're a good guy.
Technically, we'll have to notify the police that we're doing a penetration test. That's what my friend in this, red team company, has said. He always has to call the cops ahead of hand. Otherwise, when the real cops get in, all hell can break loose.
Right, because you're you're doing the act of breaking and entering and
Right.
yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Right.
That's fascinating. Well, so I mean, there's so many things to ask. So prior to this, as far as we know, you got busted trying to hack into United. You're obviously very interested in the world of hacking and defense and security. So how did you lead up to that? Were you a computer scientist in college and then?
No. I was just an angry person. You know, I broke up with my ex. She was a United States Army Signals Intelligence, and she hacked into my laptop to watch me through my webcam.
Oh.
She hacked my webcam drivers.
Weird, yeah.
And I found out because I found out that the drivers were malfunctioning, so I took it in and had it, reinstalled. And then I was like, okay, I got to just up my game, Yeah. So that's just another thing I want to talk about was, this was around the year of 2014, 2016.
Yeah.
And a lot of people on the internet, when they talk about hacking, especially on YouTube, are completely full of shit. I have, out of the 5 years I've spent learning how to hack, 3 years were spent wasting my time on nobyte.com, which is a site full of script kiddies. That means people that don't know what they're doing, and, idiot teenagers on YouTube that don't know what they're doing. I wasted 3 of those 5 years not going after the correct material.
Yeah. So in the hacking world, there's a lot of BS and amateurs and junk.
Yeah.
And then it takes time to get good at it. Presumably it takes a lot of skill and a lot of knowledge.
Well, just for the viewers of this podcast, the fastest track I've found was going to Barnes & Noble and reading this book called CISSP. 8th edition.
If you want to be a hacker, here's where you start.
Yes. and then, it doesn't even have the word hacking in the title.
Yeah.
It's a basic IT. It's actually one of the top most regarded cybersecurity certifications.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't buy this book, the CISSP study guide, the Certified Information System Security Professional Study Guide, just for the purpose of being a CISSP. I did it because I just wanted to learn the basics of networking, the TCP/IP stack, how UDP works, how VPNs work.
Yeah.
So I selectively read this 1,300-page book. High on meth, mind you. So I was reading this 1,300-page book at Barnes & Noble without buying it for 200 pages a day.
Okay. Do you read faster when you're on meth?
Yes.
Okay.
Was the meth due to the girlfriend? Was it a...
Oh, don't you blame her.
Well, she sounded like a keeper if she's going to spy on the camera.
She just want to see him masturbating.
She's a keeper.
She want to see who the other bitch was.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to make light of your painful situation, I know.
It wasn't really that painful.
Okay.
It's been almost a decade, The pain between me and her has been gone,
But it's interesting that you identified that's the moment that kind of set you down this path.
That set me down a path to defending myself. And then I guess a lot of things just make me angry on the news. Donald Trump just got elected in November 2016.
Yeah.
I just want to make it clear that I'm not a Democrat or a Republican.
Right.
I'm a libertarian.
Mm-hmm.
Ideologically, I'm farther on the right.
Yeah.
I believe that you should own your own responsibilities. The government shouldn't be giving you a handout to, pay for your problems, I believe that, Democrats are spending way too much money irresponsibly. And I believe the Republicans, a lot of them are just kiss asses at Trump. They're willing to sacrifice their own, like Liz Cheney, just for talking bad about Trump.
Yeah.
But that's just where I stand politically. I'm actually much farther on the right than, the typical Trump-loving Republican.
So you're a right-leaning libertarian.
Right.
Okay.
Which is a direct opposite of liberals.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I think we derailed from your earlier question. Did you have a...
No, or I don't remember.
Sorry.
Let's jump to the
I got busy defending his ex.
The 2 years, the 2 years that you felt where you started learning. So you're suggesting that book. What was the name of that book?
The CISSP Study Guide, 8th edition by Sean Harris. She's from the United States Air Force, and she trained She's probably the founder of the United States Cyber Command, I believe. The next book I would recommend is Learning Python the Hard Way. Learning Python the hard way would teach you the very basis of Python programming. Although, in my opinion, I think it's a scripting language because it operates through an interpreter.
Sure.
After learning Python the hard way, I would suggest reading, what else? I had like a list of like 26 books that I wrote in federal prisons to say, hey, people were asking me how to hack, so I gave them, buy these 26 books, and then you'll learn how to hack.
I mean, is it smart to tell everybody how to become a hacker? Is that
I think it should be democratized, the availability of cybersecurity.
Okay.
I believe that everybody should learn at least something about two-factor authentication to, learn how to protect their passwords, to not fall for a phishing site, to learn how TLS works.
What's TLS?
Transport layer security. That's basically the successor to SSL. A lot of people, when they talk about VPNs and encryption and HTTPS, on your web browser, they're going to say SSL. Well, SSL has been obsoleted for at least like 10 years.
Liem totally believes in SSL and he trusts it.
I don't think I would put it like that, but
no, if I got the little lock symbol on my website, I'm cool.
Your browser will actually warn you if you're using outdated SSL 3.0.
Okay.
I believe the only version of TLS, which is what SSL refers to now, is TLS, which is Transport Layer Security.
Okay.
The minimum you can use is 1.2.
So on my Chrome browser, they're doing TLS, and I don't have to worry too much.
Right. Okay. Even though people will come up to you and say, oh, yeah, I'm using encryption, I'm using SSL, they're really talking about Transport Layer Security.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, this for anybody that's not a programmer, this is cutting edge information. This is.
I don't find it cutting edge at all. I think you can Google this in 5 minutes.
Well,
most people. I mean, I'm a programmer. You come from a hacking background. To us, that stuff is pretty easy. When I try to explain that, so like, what was it, like 3 years ago when you were trying to set up your website on WordPress?
Yeah.
And then I said one of my suggestions, if he self-hosts to get an SSL for his HTTPS so that he could get searched on Google. That was my only reason.
Yeah.
So anyways, for me to explain that to him back then, Emmett's not like a computer guy. He's pretty smart, but he's not a computer guy.
I don't spend all day
So for me to explain it to him, it's still some time for him to understand and whatnot. So I'm just explaining. I think Emmett's pretty smart. So imagine other people, normal people that don't even understand SSL, HTTPS, and any of this stuff.
Hey, for our listeners, if you want to see a website that's about to be taken down, go to emvegas.com. And you're going to see a website that's about to be taken off the internet.
Why is it getting taken off?
It's beautiful, but it's never once gotten me a real estate client. Like, it's never gotten me any business, so I just spend money on this website that does nothing, that sits there. It might as well be sitting in 1998.
Well, you might as well just host on netlify.com. I'm sorry.
How do I know that's not full of hackers?
Well, netlify.com basically gives you a free account to host whatever you like on it.
Yeah.
As long as it's a low overhead website, just like an index, HTML, a few JavaScript,
That's the problem. Nobody's going to it.
But if you want to host it for free, just put it on Netlify, and then through the URL on Netlify, they'll give you a randomly generated URL.
Yeah.
On your DNS settings, give a canonical name, a CNAME record pointing to that specific URL.
Yeah.
So you only have to pay for the domain name registration.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to pay a cent to hosting the website.
Yeah. But it still does nothing for me.
But I mean, you're out there. Eventually, you'll snag someone, and it's only going to cost you $5 a year to have a domain name.
Okay, I might try that. Netlify.
Yeah,
got it. See, this is the benefit of talking to computer geniuses, is I can learn things.
So during that was it the 5 years of learning? The last 2 years is when you started going into better books and whatnot.
Right.
At what point did you know you were breaking the law?
when I
When
made the
meth.
decision. When I made the decision to smoke meth. That's correct.
No, on the computer stuff.
Let's see. I was already high on meth, so I already know I was already breaking the law, and I had a lot of law-breaking fantasies while I was high on meth. I mean, obviously, you guys don't do meth. I don't want to accuse you of anything, but like it's a really different experience when you're on dope. When you open a shell on someone's ass. It's like an orgasm. It makes you feel good.
Wait, what is open a shell on someone's ass?
Well, basically, you pop a shell, meaning you get them to open a payload, or you found an exploitable web server online,
I see what you're talking about.
and then you run an exploit,
Yeah.
and that exploit returns you a shell.
In the past, were these people that done something bad to you, or what was the situation? there?
Almost every single person, except for United Airlines, has done something bad to me. Slandered me, said shit about me, started rumors about me,
So the motivation for your activities was personal.
Right. Like, so maybe United Airlines was my biggest mistake because that wasn't personal.
Yeah.
Because that was me, doing it for the Asians. So one of the things I did while I was on meth was break into 73 wireless hotspots in Las Vegas.
73 wireless hotspots. Okay.
Basically just routers. I've shown you, the list. Can you pull up the list right now?
Yeah.
So is that is that different than somebody's home router?
It's exactly the same as their home router.
Okay.
And I have been able to reinstall the firmware of the router and make it look perfectly the same.
Yeah.
So I basically used OpenWRT. That's a special router firmware.
Yeah.
So once I got their admin password after I hacked into their PSK, their pre-shared key to their router, I reinstalled the firmware and then I reconfigured their default OpenVPN configuration to create a site-to-site VPN between my house and their home.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could commit additional cybercrime using their public IP address provided by Cox Communications.
Oh, so this is the list that he sent me. So for every group here, that's one password, one site.
There's one that's very amusing. The password was "fuck you too."
Well, he knew you were coming to fuck him.
well, actually, I tried the password. I couldn't believe what I was looking at when I cracked it. It worked.
Yeah. Okay. So the idea is you can hack into people's their home Wi-Fi, and then any activity you do will point back to their house, right?
Correct.
To that location. So that's a way of hiding your location.
Right.
Okay. That's crazy. Is there any other? I mean, so does that hurt the person otherwise? Are you using some of their bandwidth, or?
I am using a little bit of their bandwidth, their registered IP address. I am using if I was using it to download movies and porn, that's their bandwidth that they're paying for. But it's also my bandwidth because it's coming through my home cable modem.
Yeah. Then basically they would never notice you.
Except they check the data usage.
Yeah. Who does that, right?
What was the route to get, or what was the mistake that they had? So, like, I'd be curious on you hacking my network, just to
no, don't ask me to
not so much to hack it, but so that I know what to do better.
Just gonna look at all my porn.
Do you see the equipment I left there?
Yeah.
So I want you to pick up the stick, the Yagi antenna, and then show it to the camera. And then the Wi-Fi pineapple's the square router.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right, we got some high-tech equip coming online here.
Yeah.
So for our listening audience, Liem is holding a...
that is a panel antenna.
That one.
Yeah, it's a square panel antenna. It looks like a cutting board, but lighter.
Basically,
coming out the back, yeah.
This allows me to project wireless signals at about a 24 to 30 degree angle, so I can make a rogue hotspot that looks just like your router.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then with that hotspot,
No.
I would trick you into connecting to my hotspot and add your password to it. So I would have gotten either your admin password or your pre-shared key to your router. Now that stick that you're holding on to is a Yagi antenna.
So this is all connected together. It looks like an old school kind of radio antenna.
Actually, those antennas are also called Yagi antennas, the one that you see on top of people's houses.
Yeah.
That one, they're exactly the same antenna design. The Yagi antenna projects basically like a laser beam of wireless signal. So I can connect to your household with the amplifier in the router, which is the Wi-Fi Pineapple.
So connected to these two things is another. It looks like a router at your house with a little, plastic antenna sticking off of it.
Right. Oh, the plastic antenna is for my command and control hotspot. So it has its own command and control hotspot that can control with my iPhone.
Yeah.
WLAN 1 is connected to the Yagi antenna. Yeah. So I would give orders through my iPhone to. Okay. I was just looking at what you're doing to the antenna.
I understand this technology.
Basically, yes, you're pointing at me. If I was a router, I would have been owned as a router because I would have de-authenticated anyone that was connected to the router and then listened for the WPA2 handshake. Yeah. And then I just use something like, nowadays we have online password cracking services. So we don't know the password once we capture the handshake. We have to crack it.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so,
gotcha.
So this goes back to your original question. Don't have an easily guessable password because a lot of easily guessable WPA passwords are on word lists that you can download online.
Oh.
Yeah. And then you can basically use a word list with Hashcat to run it against, your WPA handshake capture.
Yeah.
And then through that encrypted handshake, I might be able to crack it and figure out your PSK, your pre-shared key.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I will come back, and then I will bring in the other device. Liem, can you show them the box with the little antenna?
Oh, okay. I got a Raspberry Pi, right?
Right. That's a Raspberry Pi. That is a Raspberry Pi with a wireless adapter. Also within the white plastic box is two cellular charging stations or power packs. So the orange one is the cellular one right there. And then if I were to, I didn't charge the solar one because I just got it in the mail right today from Amazon. Yeah, solar.
So this is you can do your hacking operation anywhere without even, as long as the sun's shining.
Right.
Okay.
I just put it next to their house with right off, like maybe behind the dumpster in a open McDonald's bag or something like that.
You're going to plant this equipment and then it'll tap into their Wi-Fi.
It connects to their Wi-Fi. It then connects back using a reverse SSH tunnel back to my virtual private server on the cloud. I then log in through the tunnel in my virtual private server through my laptop at Starbucks, college, any free Wi-Fi I can find, my house Wi-Fi, and then I can remotely send commands to the Raspberry Pi, which is, if you were to point at it, that then I can have that one has Kali Linux for the Raspberry Pi installed, so I can run programs like Metasploit on it. I can also run Routersploit, which means I can look for vulnerabilities in your router, your IP cams, look for the passwords inside of there, hack your camera, hack your printer,
face.
So I think this is probably a $60 device. Is probably $20.
Actually, that was $35.
And then this is probably
$30.
This one's probably $20. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
What are the prices on that?
If you want to show the camera again.
So the directional microwave laser. Yeah. So just ballpark.
So the Wi-Fi Pineapple. I bought the Wi-Fi Pineapple, which is the router that you're holding. I bought that for about $99. Right, I bought that for $99 because I used to have 3 wireless penetration testing adapters, but I found out it was cheaper just to buy a Wi-Fi Pineapple instead of just replacing my $50 penetration testing adapters. I got 3 network cards on that. I would have paid $150 if I were to buy, the actual part myself. Now the Yagi antenna that you're holding right there is going to run about $50.
$50.
And then the patch antenna is also going to run just over $50.
So you're looking about $300 for all this equipment and this. Now the other piece of it then, so it only gets you the encrypted password technically, and then you still have to know that you have to have the know-how to
run a dictionary attack to crack it.
Gotcha.
So if somebody doesn't have "Happy Birthday" as their password,
well, what I was expecting you to say that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How'd you know?
Well, I would use a tool called Wi-Fi Fisher.
Okay.
Wi-Fi Fisher is actually open and available on GitHub.
Yeah.
And I would create a rogue hotspot using the patch antenna that was just on the camera.
Yeah.
And then I would generate a hotspot that looks just like yours.
Yeah.
Then I would use my Yagi antenna, the one that points as a laser, to jam the communications on your original router. I will try to trick you into connecting to my rogue hotspot that looks just like yours. And then I'm going to trick you into giving me not only your pre-shared key to log into the router, but also your administrator password, because Wi-Fi Fisher mimics the router login page of the brand of router that it's mimicking.
So if our Wi-Fi goes down and we're trying to patch back in, go check outside the house for McDonald's bags before we do that.
Yes, maybe.
Okay.
But you have to understand that these devices that you just showed has a range in the city of over a mile away.
Okay.
Pre-amplified.
So you could be 3 houses over. I'd never see you.
Oh, I could be much harder than that. So without an amplifier, the Wi-Fi Pineapple that you just showed me on camera, the little router, already has built-in amplifiers in its chipset. So that gives me a...
How do these have such range when we're like trying to connect to our bedroom and it's like, you're too far away from your signal?
So when he got here, I was out in the park, out in the driveway. I was trying to use my phone and the Wi-Fi wasn't reaching that far. And he was saying, "Oh, that's good for you."
Well, okay. So yes. So for the Wi-Fi security, for anyone that's listening, you should probably shut down your 2.4 gigahertz networks.
Oof.
Because 2.4 gigahertz gives me a very long range to reach you.
I say oof because a lot of devices still use 2.4. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people, they just use it for the convenience, you know. But you would stick with 5 gigahertz, and nowadays they have Wi-Fi 6E, which uses the 6 gigahertz band.
Yeah.
So 5 gigahertz and up makes it passing through walls really, really hard. So I have to drive up to your house literally to hack a 5 gigahertz hotspot.
Oh, okay, so our home Wi-Fis are designed to be short range on purpose.
Right.
Okay.
But except for your 2.4 gigahertz, that was just a lousy idea. You know, I can hack that from half a mile away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is fascinating. So for home users, if you got a 2.4 gig instead of a 5 gig, you want to upgrade to 5 gig.
Or just turn off, on a lot of routers, they have 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. Just turn off 2.4 gigahertz and tell all your devices to connect to the 5 gigahertz one.
Yeah, get on the 5G already. Let's go.
Yeah.
I would just say, I think there's so many devices that are stuck on the 2.4, as in there's so many, I don't like Alexa, I don't know those little Alexa units and all your...
you're fucked on Alexa anyway.
Well, yeah. A bunch of IoT devices, probably like your refrigerator, that if it's connected to Wi-Fi, a lot of those devices are still on 2.4, I believe.
Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, that's why people have to keep 2.4 gigahertz up for the compatibility and not just for the range.
Yeah.
Oh, don't hack my fridge, bro.
Well, I got a story to tell you. Yes. I got a story to tell you. It's about a story of some Polish penetration testers that managed to hack the wireless network of a client company that hired them by hacking into their Bluetooth Wi-Fi connected coffee cup.
The cup, okay.
They used a Bluetooth antenna, not the Wi-Fi antennas they just showed on the YouTube channel, but they used a Bluetooth antenna, and they found that the password was 6 zeros for the coffee maker. The Bluetooth coffee maker.
Yeah.
They also found out it was also Wi-Fi capable, so they dug out the Wi-Fi password from the coffee machine. Yeah.
Wait, so what did this coffee cup do? It just kept your coffee warm and...
Yeah. And I guess I don't know what else. I don't even know why it's even networked, to be honest with you.
Is it going to send you back your current coffee temperature? That'd be kind of cool.
I don't know why, but this is why they got hacked.
Dude,
you know?
I'm ready to sell all my security if my coffee cup can tell me how warm my coffee is.
There's just so many. Anything that's attached to any network is hackable. Ultimately,
right.
I watched some short documentary on. They had a kid's toy that would go out through the Wi-Fi and then connect to the company that makes this little doll, and it would give a new verbal saying for the little doll says, "Hi, how was your day?" or whatever the new saying.
Right.
But that doll was housing the password, like you're saying, the same exact thing. and people were able to hack into the doll, get the Wi-Fi password, and then even they could upload a new saying, and they could say, "Hey, fuck you, kid."
Oh,
it's terrible.
You're never going to amount to anything. So quit school now.
It's scary when I watch some of these hacker documentaries and whatnot. And they some people, I think the one that I thought the most interesting quote, they said, unless it's a computer offline, and even then, bury that computer 6 foot underground with no wires attached and have it off. That's probably the only way it can't be hacked. I'm like, geez,
you're talking about air gapping in an extreme form.
Yeah.
The CIA.
Well, I think that person was also trying to say you have to have it off. They were just trying to make an extreme case.
Right.
Anything's hackable.
Right. Like even air gap machines are hackable. In Julian Assange in WikiLeaks back in 2017, they had a thing called Vault 7, and it was basically a leak of the CIA NSA hacking tools. And one of the tools is called Brutal Kangeroo. Brutal Kangeroo attacks air gap devices by jumping from USB drive to USB drive, replicating itself until it finally was able to ping the internet and then send back the stolen data. One of the recommendations I can tell you when it comes to USB or keystroke injection attacks, there's a tool made by Hack5. They also made the Wi-Fi pineapple that just got shown on camera. It's called the rubber ducky. And the USB rubber ducky, when you plug it into a logged in computer, like a Linux or Windows computer or a Mac computer, it would take over the keyboard and automatically send commands to download a second stage payload to infect the computer. So for Linux users, there's a tool on the standard Debian app repo that's also on Ubuntu and Kali Linux. It's called USB Guard. And basically, it does not allow any interactivity unless you allow it for any USB device. So if you plugged in a USB hard drive, an external hard drive to it, it won't work until you specifically authorize that device. Yeah. So I asked the viewers to avoid keystroke injection attacks, which basically means a malicious flash drive plugs in, drops a payload, or attempts to download a payload from the internet using the USB drive.
Yeah.
I actually got a story to tell you because...
so basically any USB device you find anywhere...
can be hacked.
Well, but that's not a prize. You didn't just find some free USB.
No, it's something made just for you. It's a gift just for you.
Yeah.
With another gift.
If you ever have anything USB pluggable that wasn't your plan, like if you didn't go buy a lamp on Amazon, or if you were walking in the parking lot and you see something with a USB plug, don't ever plug that in.
Well, it depends though, because how the USB rubber ducky works is that it's basically a USB storage device with a special CPU.
Yeah.
That a lot of USB drives cannot be turned into rubber duckies. You have to buy specific USB drives with hackable USB chipsets.
Okay.
And that's where I'm going to go to my story.
So USBs do have some security built in to help prevent that.
No.
He's talking about the special rubber ducky thingy that.
Right. The USB rubber ducky. You should find a link to Hack5 for the rubber ducky. I went on GitHub and I found out that you can make a free USB rubber ducky for $25. Basically, you buy a specific type of USB drive and you can hack the firmware for that USB drive, and it would automatically do keystroke injection attacks. So like I said before, a keystroke injection attack opens up a command prompt, runs a PowerShell command to download a second stage payload that gets dropped onto Windows, which then runs on your computer. And the guy was just taking a pee break or something, and now his computer's infected.
Yeah.
But this is back in 2018, I think, 2017.
Yeah.
I tried to buy a cheap USB drive that I can hack to make myself a budget rubber ducky. And some asshole bought all fucking 20 pieces of the USB drive. The entire wall is gone.
Oh, somebody beat you to it.
Yeah, someone beat me to it.
So you were doing it because you were interested in how can I do this?
Right.
And somebody else had a bigger plan.
Right. They bought all of this. So then I realized, okay, you know what? Screw this shit. I'm just going to go buy the damn rubber ducky, because those USB drives were cost $80 a piece. The ones that you could have customized into a rubber ducky on GitHub.
Yeah.
I could get it for cheap from Hack5 for just $50. And for the $80 USB drive, that you have to customize into a rubber ducky for GitHub. You have to short out a specific like a connector to reset it, to reprogram it. Yeah. And you have a tendency to break it. With the USB rubber ducky from Hack5, you just press a button and it'll go into programming mode, and then you can just reprogram as much as you like.
So what is Hack5? This is like a hacker enthusiast website? Or
it's a hacker penetration testing enthusiast website that is run by Darren Kitchen. Yeah. He has his own channel on YouTube. Yeah. I'm not promoting his product, by the way. I only buy a few of his products. Right. I actually did not like the Wi-Fi Pineapple. I personally find the Wi-Fi Pineapple in some of his modes to be hard to tame.
Yeah, Derek. What the fuck?
Yeah, they just gave it a firmware update that made it more controllable. But at a certain point, when I was using Pine AP to make rogue access points, I told it to stop doing that. I saved it. I restarted the stupid Wi-Fi Pineapple, and it starts doing it again. Like I a lot of these things, they're just prone to breakage. I understand that Darren Kitchen is, he really, Darren Kitchen.
Sorry, Darren.
I understand that he's trying to make a product because hackers, a lot of hacking tools, when you use hacking tools or you make your own tools, they break. It could be a new version of Python that came out. It could be the stupid Python 2 to Python 3 transition. It could be like a dependency problem. A lot of hacker tools break, and you have to fix it yourself.
Yeah. You're trying to get this thing to do something it wasn't intended to do. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. I personally write in Go now, Google GoLang, which I think is better than Python. It's a lot of hackers will disagree on this, but the Python 2 to Python 3, that transition was a shitstorm. There were a lot of breakages. People were still using Python 2.7 when it was finally deprecated about sometime when I was in federal prison, I switched to writing in GoLang. GoLang has a thing called concurrency and is managed through Go routines. Yeah. So you can make a layer 7 stressor, which is a web application attack tool. So you heard about DDoS, distributed denial of service attack. You can create your own DDoS tool in Go by using Go routines, using HTTP to send malicious web requests to, let's say, a login form, and to basically blow up the website, shut down their ability to process orders. Stuff like that.
So Google has their own programming language that they've made.
Yeah. They have multiple programming languages that they made.
So you're saying Google Go is a great language for hacking in?
Yeah. A lot of people. You should read the book BlackHatGo. Yeah. It was written in 2020. Yeah. I bought BlackHatGo when I was in prison. I still have a copy of it today in my house.
You're allowed to buy books in prison?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know.
You just can't buy porn. You can buy booty. You can buy booty magazines. You can have families send you booty magazines of models and fat booties. We have lots of that. We also have people that smuggle in porn through prison by posing as legal mail.
Oh, like your documents from the lawyer.
Yeah.
And some pussy pictures.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they would just hide on the flash drive.
No, we don't trust flash drives.
I'm just thinking like a general question. What would be the top 5 or 10 security things that what commoners could do? Because there's so many people that don't understand computers. But then after that question, I think I want to jump back into your story because I think we kind of went on a pretty far tangent. But what are 5 or 10 top things? I'll throw out some suggestions and you could either say.
Right. Because I need some suggestions. I just got out of prison, Yeah.
As in like a password manager.
You definitely need a password manager. I just want to interrupt you and tell you something like, for me, I use KeePass on Linux. But I heard there's like all kinds of Windows password managers. Just don't download any one from some shady Ukrainian, Russian SU URL,
Giving them all your passwords?
Right. Remember, your web browser actually contains its own passwords. So when I just got out of prison, I didn't know my 2-factor authentication or didn't own the phone number that I used to have. So I tried to recover my Gmail account, my cloud services account, my Amazon account, my business account, and I couldn't do it because even though I knew the password, I was unable to do it, so I had to hack my own accounts.
Wow.
So what I did was basically before I went to federal prison, I moved a directory called .mozilla/Firefox. It's on Windows. I mean not Windows, Linux. And in Linux, it's your home directory .mozilla Firefox. And that directory contains all of your saved passwords, cookies, settings, porn bookmarks. So if you wanted to go look at whatever you wanted to look at,
Don't want to lose those.
yeah, you can just copy it back over onto the directory.
Yeah.
And then you can reuse your own credentials without entering into a website.
Okay. Well, but an average person, if they lost their two-factor authentication, there's not a good way for a regular person to regain those, right?
It depends on the two-factor authentication. Are we talking about a phone number? Because I keep on getting one-time passcode bullshit from Amazon.
Yeah.
So this is also a bit technical, but how I recovered it was I recovered my business account by re-registering the domain. I then re-signed up for another email account under that domain name. And then I got Amazon to actually send an authentication one-time password code to that name through my new registered domain because no one chose to register that domain after I lost it.
Okay.
And then through that domain, it also asked me for my damn phone number. I'm like, oh shit, I don't even have that phone anymore. So I just made an angry call to Amazon. Like, say, hey, this is my fucking birthday. This is the last four of my social. This is the last credit card that I use. All right, please give me back my account. And they finally unlocked my account. That's pretty much all you can do. Like a two-factor authentication, I understand that's meant to protect the consumer.
Yeah.
But if you're a guy that just got out of prison that signed up for two-factor authentication right before, you might be SOL.
Yeah.
It took me about 1.5 weeks for me to get all of my accounts back.
Yeah.
I try to start my cloud services again. My Bastion hosts, my reverse SSH channels, my redirectors, my VPN site-to-site VPNs, and I was flagged by the provider as fraud, and I was mad because I was asking, how the hell is this fraud?
Yeah.
It turns out that for some reason you cannot, because I don't have a debit card at the time. I used a temporary debit card that my bank gave me.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't accept that. So I was really mad. So I found out that they also accept Bitcoin, so I just pay them in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But if I were to be paying Bitcoin, I will probably instead buy a bulletproof hosting service, which is basically shady providers in the Netherlands, Ukraine, Russia, and through these bulletproof hosting providers, I can host these shady services and run shady VPNs and run cyber attacks through these VPNs through a company that will not respond to FBI subpoenas. That's probably what I would have done.
Okay, well let's rewind.
Would you rank two-factor authentication or password manager more important if you had to rank it?
Right.
Which one would you rank higher of those two?
To be honest with you, I really recommend a password manager, a trusted password manager. There's a lot of bogus ones out there, but so I suggest that you use a password manager because they are now asking you to make extremely long passwords, both upper and lower case, alphanumeric, with a one special character, maybe even a pipe symbol left and right or something like that. Another thing I would suggest is, I'm not sure if I could demonstrate it, but there are Linux pipes. So do you have the left bracket that goes this way? You have the right one? Yeah. Right. If you add that to your password, including the pipe key, which is like the straight line like here.
Yeah.
If you look at your keyboard and then you add that to your password, it would actually do wild shit to a hacker trying to break your passwords account on a password cracker. Huh. It would probably do things like redirect standard in to standard out, redirect everything to standard error, dump standard error back into standard in. It would break everything if they're trying to crack your password.
So on your keyboard is a button somewhere that's a straight line up and down.
Right.
I think it's above the enter key on most.
Exactly. Shift that key.
Yeah.
So that key or the greater than or less than.
Right. The greater than or less than. If you add that to your password, it would cause unholy hell on a lot of password cracking applications.
Weird.
Yeah.
But then would that hacker get mad at you and come after you harder?
Yeah, but then now he has to write his own tool, to come after you.
Probably not worth it.
Yeah.
So lazy hackers get out.
I'll put on the YouTube video. I'll make the video show the keys, the greater than, less than, and the pipe sign above.
So why do those characters fuck up these password crackers?
So let's talk about the pipe sign and the one that goes directly down. The one that's on the key that's directly above your enter and below your backspace key.
Yeah.
If you press shift, that key that prevents a pipe.
Yeah.
That pipe symbol takes the command, the standard output on the console of your first command, and then use it in the second command after that symbol. So it's like using the same password that they attempted in the first command, and then they used it in the second portion of their next command.
It almost like breaks up their first and second command where it's going to run.
Yeah.
Right.
So most of the keys we punch are just a character, but that pipe or the greater or less than are actually commands that cause something else to happen.
Right, it can throw them into a loop or something like that. Okay. So the less than symbol, which is, draw the left hand symbol.
Yeah.
The less than symbol reads from a file into a program in Linux.
Yeah.
A lot of hackers use Linux. So basically, if you were to use the pipe symbol and then a read symbol, the less than symbol, now you're reading something from the end of the pipe and then putting that into, so yeah.
Okay.
And then the greater symbol basically outputs the results of a command into a file.
Yeah.
So by doing all these things as once, making your password a combination of these greater than, less than, or pipe symbol characters, you can really mess up the attacker's computer if they did not have a properly, configured hacking tool.
And there's no downside to me, right?
No, obviously not.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on the hardware keys, like a UB key, solo keys? Have you used those? I think Google has one called the Titan key.
Are these some sort of two-factor authentication? They're like some sort of physical.
Physical key. I think FIDO, FIDO, authentication. I don't know enough about it, but I do use one.
Mm-hmm.
I think my guess is there's probably a primary key inside, and then your computer would need to send something and it verifies that
this kind of reminds me of something when I was playing World of Warcraft, and it was called WoW Authenticator.
I think it's very similar to that.
You play WoW? You ever heard of it?
Yeah.
It was like Battle.net Authenticator or WoW Authenticator. Now, I just got out of prison, so I haven't really seen these things come out in popularity. But what you're talking about really sounds just like it. The thing is, if you lose access to that device, you're fucked.
Oh yeah. That's why you should have a backup too. If you buy one, you should buy two actually. Have one as a backup. Put it somewhere safe. So if you lose your primary one, you can log in with your secondary and report the primary as lost.
But when I got out of federal prison, I specifically told my family, hide all my computers, hide all my shit, put away my USB drives, put away my debit cards, and guess what? Now I'm trying to recover my accounts with no access to my old phone number. The only time I actually called customer service was Amazon. Yeah. Somehow they were the ones that were a real bitch to, a real bitch to me to give me my account back.
So that's good security though, right?
It is good security.
Okay.
But I had to go, that Amazon's the only one that had trouble getting my account back. Everything else, like US Bank, I used my old expired driver's license. I lost my driver's license in the casino when I got out of jail.
Oh.
Because I got released from federal prison into jail, and from jail I was released on the street. And then I was trying to get a taxi, and I lost my my turn ID in that casino. I got it back eventually,
right?
But I managed to gain access back to my US Bank account using an old expired ID.
Wow. So that doesn't sound like good security.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there by any chance any other easy security things that you would suggest for a commoner?
Let's see. Outside of making, wild passwords, that would really trip up a password cracker, don't be an idiot. Do not allow an evil maid attack to happen, which is evil maid cleans your room, finds your password written on some piece of paper, that's an evil maid attack.
Yeah.
So don't do that. I want to condense that into like just one phrase, don't be an idiot. Because a lot of these people do these idiotic things, you know?
Yeah, but it's so hard to remember all these damn passwords. I got to write them down, right?
Well, we'll use a password manager.
I don't know how to do that. I got to write a password to get into the password manager.
You only need one password to unlock the password manager.
So you only have to remember one.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump back to some of your stories, some of the things during that 5 years of learning hacking.
Okay, so when I was hacking around 73 wireless hotspots across Las Vegas, Metro had a profile of me because I was using a police scanner app that connects to broadcastify.com called Scanner Radio Pro. And Scanner Radio Pro connects to Broadcastify because there are these free radio enthusiasts that tapped into Metro's analog channels. And basically, they were aware of me driving around, you know, running away. They said I was known as a runner. You know, they say that, you know, I was known as the gray Nissan because I drove a gray Nissan when I was doing all this hacking on Meth.
Oh, so the police department was aware of you.
Right. They were aware of me. They don't know who I am.
They have their own anti-hackers? Is that...
Right.
Okay.
So what they did was I was trying to hack into a coffee shop that I had a little gripe against the owner and do some ARP spoofing from using the shown antennas. But I was actually using a parabolic antenna. It's not the Yagi antenna that we have previously shown on camera. The parabolic antenna has even more range.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to, you know, fumble with inside a hatchback. And within that antenna, I was trying to get it aligned, and then I heard like this slight whooshing noise because, you know, my windows were slightly down in my gray Nissan. And then I realized, holy shit, there's a helicopter hovering right above me.
Oh.
And then right across from the park, an entire platoon of cop cars are racing at me from across the street, except there's no direct road to it. So I was like, fuck this shit, I'm going to start running. So I start speeding south along, I can't say the word roads, you know, but the helicopter starts chasing me like crazy. I have Scanner Radio Pro, which is connected to Broadcastify, which is connected to Las Vegas Metro's, you know, police radio system.
Yeah.
Like the entire police department was after me because, you know, the scumbag coffee shop owner fucking calls out the cops on me, even though I was over half a mile away, you know?
Well, how did he know about you?
Me and him got into an altercation. You know, let's just leave it at that.
Oh, okay. So the police weren't coming after you for the hacking.
Right. They were calling me because this guy was crying bitch, basically.
Okay, so you guys had an argument, and then immediately you went to go mess with his Wi-Fi. You wanted to hack in, and
right.
Okay, that makes sense now.
So, you know, I was spending about like half an hour in this parking lot with a clear view of the coffee shop. Using a parabolic antenna, which was much more ungainly to use than the previously mentioned Yagi antenna that was shown on camera. 30 minutes into it, I hear this soft whooshing sound, and then I look up outside my car, and I saw a police helicopter hovering above me, trying to figure out what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then I started hearing police radio traffic on Scanner Radio Pro, which is connected to Broadcastify, which is connected to police departments. You know, the police departments, you know, radio transmissions like, oh yeah, we got this guy. We gotta go get this hacker. So I started speeding. I got out of the fucking parking lot. I went southbound. I hit speeds of 90 to 110 miles per hour, running red lights at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, after going south and then west for about 4 miles, the helicopter immediately broke off. See, if the helicopter kept chasing me, I would have been caught.
Right.
But the helicopter immediately broke off because I found out that there was some sort of murder-suicide that happened.
Well, so that was the bigger fish to pursue.
Right. So then the helicopter broke off, and then the cops fucked off, and I was like, holy shit, dude. You know?
Damn.
So if it wasn't for that other crime, you would have been busted right then and there.
Well, the thing was that I think the reason why they broke off was because outside of me acting suspiciously, they really didn't know what I was doing.
There's no crime yet.
Right, there was no crime yet. They just know I was acting suspiciously. They were knowing they know that I'm doing dangerous things. They know that I was speeding. I was running red lights, nearly colliding into several cars, weaving through traffic, onto oncoming traffic as well.
Yeah.
And if they keep this, chase up, I'm going to die. They're going to get in trouble, stuff like that. So why keep chasing me?
Yeah.
So I lucked out on that chase.
Do you see yourself as a good guy or a bad guy, or the things that you do? Is there?
I see myself as a person that has a lot of enemies.
Yeah.
I don't intentionally make enemies, but at least in this city that we're in, there is a lot of shitbags in this place. I have seen snitches run away, get away with. I've seen people that don't work for a dime, and they basically were a benefactor for a will and trust. So they got this all this money from this person that they never even gave a shit for. They open a fucking pretentious coffee shop. They start drama with me. They drive around with their dead relatives' money in a brand new Ferrari, and I'm in this rut. There are people that I feel that do not deserve what they have, and they have no say in my business. But they tried it, but all of a sudden, they targeted me not because I'm a hacker, but because I'm some guy that I feel is more vulnerable. I think I'm a vulnerable person. I think a lot of people, when they look at me in the street, they think it's a guy to pick on, And that's why I feel more victimized by all the people that I have targeted.
I see. So you feel like you've been burned a lot.
Right.
And hacking is your way to attack back? Is that
right?
Is that the way to?
Right.
Okay. No, I'm just curious about your view.
I understand. You know,
because most people would say, hacker, you're a bad guy, right? You're hacking into stuff you're not supposed to.
But I also about good hacking, finding bugs and bug bounties. I have an account on HackerOne.com.
Yeah.
I have reported exploits to get money with, to get rewarded.
Do they call that a bounty?
Yeah, a bug bounty.
Okay, yeah.
And I found bugs on porn sites like Pornhub, which allows the free download of porn, even though they were supposed to be charging $6 of clip of this porn. There's a way to bypass it.
Oh, so you helped Pornhub to stop people from stealing the premium porn.
Right.
Excellent.
Right.
That's definitely the good guy.
Right.
Good guy side of the equation.
I also found a .git directory at the UNLV website, and it's for a project called Process J. So I tracked down the original author of Process J on LinkedIn, and I told her about the vulnerability. And I told her how someone that can download this this .git directory could plagiarize proprietary UNLV software code. So yeah, let's see, what else?
So you're happy to do good guy stuff too,
right?
Okay.
So
in the hacking world, they call it black hat versus white hat, right? Is that?
But I'm a gray hat. I see myself as a gray hat.
You hat both ways.
Right.
Gotcha.
There was this incident where I was wrongly accused and nearly arrested at a public library here in the city. And it was because of the ignorant IT guy accusing me of being the hacker. He didn't know it was me. But I was doing apt-get update on Linux. And if you use Kali Linux and you run apt-get update to get the newest repository update, it makes requests to http.kali.org, which would set off certain intrusion detection systems like, oh no, there's malware running. But what really doing is you're upgrading your Linux distro. So the fucking local police department surrounded the motherfucking place, and then they spend like 2-3 hours trying to catch the hacker. Ha ha ha,
Yeah.
That's strange because the libraries have like public Wi-Fi, right?
So exactly. I was using public Wi-Fi to update my Kali Linux distro. Actually, I was trying to connect to public Wi-Fi also to write a letter to my probation officer saying how I'm doing and, that I have to go do this and that.
So this is after you got released from federal prison?
Oh, this is before. I've been on probation several times.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is my third time on probation /supervised release. The second time, I had to go report to a probation officer that was basically on my ass for everything, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I didn't have time, to use the home Wi-Fi because the Cox internet was down, I guess. So I used the public library Wi-Fi. And, the fucking library gets surrounded by fucking cops stopping everybody from leaving the damn library. So what I did was I was using a virtual machine called KVM. So a kernel-based virtual machine. So I ran Linux on my host. That's your main operating system. But then I ran Windows in a virtual machine.
Yeah.
So to hide myself, I just opened up the virtual machine and I put it to full screen.
And the cops don't know better.
And the cops don't know better, except for the sexy female Metro computer hacking forensics investigator lady that actually got me what you may call exonerated, appealed, released. Remember, I did not talk to the police SWAT team that were accosting people outside. I know what the fuck is going on. I can hear through the damn walls. I was like, you know what? Just look normal until they finally leave. It's been hours, but just sit around, look normal, wait for them to leave so I can update Kali Linux and go write a letter to my probation officer because the probation officer expects a motherfucking report from me.
So you weren't doing anything wrong?
I was not doing a single damn thing wrong. I'm just here because Kali Linux was just updating itself using the app repo.
But you were doing some advanced computer stuff that triggered the response?
No, it's just
on Linux, when you do a Windows update,
yeah,
that apt-get update is the same exact, in the Linux world, it's the same exact thing as a Windows update. So that's all he was doing.
Okay.
Yeah, so all I was doing was updating the repositories, my packages for Linux. And how Linux updates work is, at least for Debian distributions, you have the apt package manager.
Yeah.
So when you update the apt package manager to install new tools or apps on Linux, it makes a request to a URL in your apt sources list.
Okay.
And it was making these requests to Kali.org. The idiot public library IT guy says, oh, that guy's fucking hacking. He was connecting to Kali.org.
So that's a site that a lot of hackers would go to?
Well, it'd be the equivalent of when your Windows update runs, it goes to probably windows.com, which has an IP address, or windows.com, whatever, something like that. So Kali.org is the same thing for Linux. So it's just, you're just pulling down a Windows update, a Linux update. It's the same exact thing.
This is not something a normal person would be doing.
It would. A normal Linux user, definitely. But I guess at a library, not too many people would. I'm not sure how many people would have a Linux.
Not if you're using a library computer, right?
No, well, libraries have public Wi-Fi, so you could have your Android phone, you could have your laptop that runs Windows. For whatever reason, I guess that IT person, I don't know why they would flag the Linux.
Exactly.
Linux
because
website.
It was all it's saying is I'm using Kali Linux on a public Wi-Fi. Does that mean that I'm opening shells on people? Am I running IMAP scans? Am I running exploit code on someone? No, I have not done it yet.
Would that be the first step to
catching me?
Going on to doing those other things?
This is just a Linux update. That's
It's
just a Windows update, Linux update.
Right.
Okay.
It would be if you're trying to get at if someone were to say all Linux users are hackers, that's just there's no connection.
But the IT guy was that dumb.
Yeah.
So I guess he fucking called the cops and then the sexy female forensic investigator. I didn't look at her. I just had a bare glimpse of her. She's a skinny blonde, wore business suit, high heels, dress pants. She put out her little laptop discreetly looking at the network. She explained to the IT guy without calling him an idiot, unfortunately, that I had a problem with my wireless driver. And I had Ubuntu running on it with Windows and Kali Linux virtual machines running within it. And because of a Intel Wi-Fi driver problem, I had to constantly reconnect and get disconnected from the public Wi-Fi, which is why it looks like malicious traffic, because every time I reconnected to the fucking public Wi-Fi, it would, attempt to restart apt-get update.
So she was able to understand what you were doing and explain it to the library guy.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And then she said to him that she wanted to talk to me, but she wanted to leave me alone because she knew that I was being investigated by the FBI. And that was my first tip, that I knew the FBI was after me. So I already knew to wipe my shit ahead of time.
Yeah.
I have talked about, within our agreement, I've talked about how I got my laptop back from the FBI. I made forensic images. A forensic image is basically a bit-by-bit copy of the hard drive. Mm-hmm. I was worried that the FBI has backdoored my own laptop. So I made a forensic image to analyze for any malware.
Yeah.
I have also found an encrypted section, which should contain the 73 hacked router passwords that the FBI never found. Mm-hmm. If the FBI found that, I would have been looking at 73 counts of Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. But, in reality, when they try to prosecute for 73 counts, they want to really look at each router that you attempted to access. So it's probably going to be 5 to 10 counts.
Yeah. So when you're doing these activities and you're kind of having your brushes with the law, is there ever a point where you get scared or you say, maybe I need to change what I'm doing, or is that
not when I was on meth? Not when I was on meth. I was looking for more excitement. This is why, as a viewer, you do not smoke meth. This is why, as a viewer, you do not smoke meth.
Are you on the meth right now?
No.
Okay.
But you can see it from my teeth.
Yeah. So you, for the record, you don't recommend meth.
Never recommend meth. Meth is the evilest fucking drug ever.
Okay, meth is bad. Gotcha.
It will give you insane delusions of grandeur. I felt like a fucking god. I have hacked into the Wi-Fi of a gun store, and then I felt like an idiot because I realized I could have just hacked the printer connected to the Wi-Fi router in that gun store to print me a free background check, which then would have made me been able to get me a gun.
Yeah.
That would have been a great idea.
Yeah. So, wow. Okay. I just don't know. I mean, obviously we're talking about some dicey subjects where.
Well, let's actually talk about so your thoughts on law enforcement. Let's talk about what your opinions of law enforcement, the good and the bad, and then let's break that down just for the heck of it. The things that you've been through with law enforcement.
I have been in federal prison for 2 years. I have been incarcerated 3 times in various jails, prisons in this area, as well as far as Chicago, Oklahoma City. And I would say that cops are not as good as you say. You have mentioned that you wanted to talk to a police officer that works in this area, but then she had cold feet. I am not surprised. And the reason why is because I know some piece of shit former cops. Is it okay that I put his name out there because he's on the news?
It's probably better not to not to make any enemies, right?
Well, you could say it now.
Well, he's already an enemy.
And then we'll cut it out. We'll figure out if it's good. Go ahead and say it, and then I'll cut it out if.
We can just bleep it out, So his name is Joseph Lawrence. And this guy originally busted me for selling ecstasy at College of Southern Nevada. And he tried to act like the old, because I was in the Marines too. He was in the Marines, He tried to say, it's your honor of the Marine Corps to admit to your crimes, blah, blah, blah. People don't understand that the criminal justice system in the United States is adversarial. It's what the prosecution knows. It's what the defense knows. It's what the cops apply to the prosecution to put your ass away for a long time. When you're being questioned by the cops, you don't admit to shit. You do not incriminate yourself. After a while, I found out that he was also a drug dealer. He made local news. Joseph Lawrence got pulled over driving on the wrong side of the road in a Toyota Tundra pickup with several hundred pills, open bottle whiskey, a loaded gun. He refused to get a breathalyzer test. I've shown you the link, And this asshole then runs away from his fellow police comrades, brothers in arms, as you can say, in a high-speed chase going in the wrong area of traffic across West Centennial Parkway. He gets 4 years probation, But apparently other cops that were pulled over DUIs, drug dealing, gun charges got away. In the second article I've shown you.
Yeah.
Like when I see a cop, if I were to see this female cop on the street, I'm not going to be talking to her. If I knew she was a cop, I'd tell her to get the fuck away from me. I would be calling my lawyer first.
Do you think in your position as a hacker, has it been the bad cases of cops because of the profession or hobby that you're in versus, I'm just trying to maybe play devil's advocate or ask where you've seen good cops can go bad, or there are good cops in this situation and you just encounter the bad ones maybe?
There are good cops. I had my laptop stolen when I was in jail for drug dealing in 2011 by some piece of shit roommate and his fucking idiot friends. I reported it and they actually managed to get the laptop back because that specific laptop had a security system. Back then I wasn't a hacker. Back then I was just some guy who's all techie, want to buy the new phone or the new MacBook or some shit like that.
Yeah.
That specific cop recovered the laptop which was then bought from a pawn shop and recovered the current owner of my laptop. He then asked me to pose with a smile with that laptop when he got it back from me. So he did it for bragging rights.
Yeah.
That's the only good cop I ever knew in my life.
Yeah.
Every other cop I've ever met, why they are meeting me. And that's because they think I did something. Obviously, the relationship is adversarial.
Yeah. Kind of jumping to a topic way earlier, actually, just something I've been thinking about. I wanted to ask for a long time now. What are your thoughts on China and Russia in the hacking scheme? So you bought stuff. I think you mentioned earlier, you bought some hacking scripts from Russia. I think you mentioned.
I did not buy hacking scripts from Russia. I bought bulletproof hosting services from the Ukraine.
Okay.
Which now the company has moved over to the Dominican Republic.
Okay. Oh. So the other thing, the $20,000 non-traceable hack, was it? That one you just saw, but you haven't dealt with that.
Right. Oh, you mean the Russian hacking forums? I know where these forums are. That they call them FUD, fully undetectable payloads. I personally don't really want to fuck with these Russians. I really want to keep like a 100-foot pole away from these people. You don't know if they have backdoor their own command and control program. You don't know because they may have written it as a binary. You'll have to reverse engineer an IDA Pro to figure out if it's making any other secret connections to their own command and control servers. You have maybe willingly became a zombie in their botnet.
Do you think that the hackers that are building these, that they're are they creating it are they creating 0-day hacks also, and or are they so smart, and why is it Russia? Why don't we see that stuff here in America being produced in America?
We do. It's called Zerodium. Zerodium is a place that sells 0-day exploits, because when I find an exploit like the Pornhub exploit, or if I were to find like a binary exploit with like a SL mail, it's a well-documented vulnerability in the Offensive Security Certified Professional course. If I were to find I'm currently taking the Offensive Security Exploit Developer course currently, but basically I have training to find vulnerabilities in binary compiled applications by reverse engineering them in IDA Pro, which is a tool to analyze binaries, or to use WinDebug, which is a Windows built-in debugger. And if I can find these, I can have a choice. I can report it to the company for $1,000 reward. I can call Zerodium, and if I find an iPhone exploit, then I could sell it for $500,000. And then Zerodium will then go contact this Israeli company called NSO Group, and they will add it to their Pegasus remote access Trojan, which is the malware that calls back to you. And then NSO Group will now sell it to oppressive governments around the world, like Mexico. So Zerodium is not a very ethical company because they will sell 0-day exploits to government entities that would harm their own people.
Just for the audience that may not know, and correct me if I'm wrong, 0-day exploits are hacks that hackers have found and nobody even knows it's out yet.
Right, nobody knows it's out yet, so we can sell them.
Yeah.
to bad people.
Yep. Where do you think Russia, China, and America play into this whole geopolitical maybe technology thing? So do you see more hacks coming out of Russia and China, or?
I think I disagree with all of these things. The Microsoft Exchange hack, which was basically a stolen proof of concept code. We just talked about 0 days. 0 days are presented as a proof of concept or POC exploit. And basically a Chinese provider of Microsoft products as a vendor through their special Microsoft vendor program. I forgot what it was called. But basically, Microsoft reported the vulnerability to this Chinese vendor. The Chinese vendor took the proof of concept and then sent it to Chinese Ministry of State Security hackers, who then misused the proof of concept to immediately initiate shotgun blasts of all vulnerable Microsoft Exchange servers around the world. So they abused the supply chain of vulnerability reporting by abusing Microsoft's trust. And that's what caused the Microsoft Exchange hack that happened a year ago. But what was the...
Kind of like, do you think the geopolitical thing are we as a globe, is just security-wise, cybersecurity is just all fucked up, or is China and Russia ahead somehow, or is America...
You know, like, I like to have a lot to say to that, is that, well... Russia has coding classes for kids in Python and C in 3rd grade in Russia.
Yeah.
A lot of kids nowadays in America, they don't even touch a integrated development environment. That's an IDE, like IntelliJ or GoLang, Visual Studio. You know, they don't even touch an IDE to write their own Python script or their C Hello World program until they're in college.
So IED for the commoner is just a piece of software to write software.
It's basically a text editor.
Yeah, like a scripting text editor. And
No, 3rd grader Americans can't be learning how to computer code. We're busy dancing on TikTok and watching Pornhub and eating McDonald's meals.
Paying for Pornhub because I reported that vulnerability. So now you have to pay for that Pornhub.
So where do you see on the global stage, I don't know, how the cybersecurity world's going to be in 5 or 10, 15 years, America, China, and us as commoners? Where do you see that?
Well, here's the thing. I think America was kicking everybody's ass until the last 10 years. I think America was backdooring Cisco routers, and it was well known, it was well documented in the Vault 7 leaks. When a suspected terrorist, the CIA was buying a laptop that was being shipped to him, the CIA intercepts the laptop, backdoors the laptop with a hardware keylogger, sends it to the suspected terrorist to monitor him. We were kicking ass in cybersecurity until recently.
Yeah,
it's only now that China and Russia are fucking us up big time.
Yeah, I think when I first started conversations with you, I brought up Stuxnet because I think
Stuxnet, yeah.
Yeah, Stuxnet. So back in, gosh, what was it? Stuxnet? I think it's
Stuxnet.
Stuxnet.
Right.
I forget the year. Was that early 2000?
Right.
So the conspiracy theory is that America wrote a hacking program to hack Iranian centrifuges at a nuclear power plant where they could be refining uranium, plutonium. The hackers in America suppose this is conspiracy theory
it's hard to get the details on the real story.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's theorized that America knew that Iran was doing this, so they wrote specific code to hack specific centrifuges with serial numbers in Iran. So it made the centrifuges spin really fast and then just basically blow up. So this was back in early 2000s, I think. So anyway, I think what you're saying, that I think from kind of my little bit of knowledge on cybersecurity, and I say it's little because I don't think I'm deep into it enough at all. It seems that the things that I've seen, America is falling behind too. It feels like it is.
Well, if they're ahead, they're not going to tell you.
Well, yeah, that might. But I would think Slayer Ranger has a better pulse on it than we do.
I see a very fucked up trend that's been going on for the last 5 years. A lot of people saying that cybersecurity is the hot new vocation, the hot, highest paying, the most demanded job, and it is.
Yeah.
But now you have a bunch of scam artists, charlatans trying to rip off casinos. I've known one managed security service provider that sucks so bad at their job that they couldn't get any of these casinos in our area to even, write a good review or endorsement for them. So they had to go get an endorsement from some Oregon casino because they really don't do shit. And, I was pissed off because I interviewed for these guys and then they disqualified me for my criminal record. But they made it sound like I was going to totally get the job until the last minute. And then when I realized is they were there just to steal my ideas. They were there to have me tell them what to use because they don't know shit about offensive security. I told them to use Burp Suite for web application attacks. I told them to use Nessus, get a professional subscription of Nessus to quickly evaluate an internal network. I have told them to use things like Cobalt Strike for actual offensive security if you're authorized to compromise targets. And they took these ideas and then they yanked away my job opportunity.
So in your current position, would it be your best move to become a white hat and work for the good guys? Is that?
I can't work for any guys because according to my probation officer under supervised release, I am really not allowed to involve myself in anything cyber, but I am.
Well, don't say that.
Don't
tell everybody.
We're distorting his voice anyways. It's okay. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah.
But then that's only for another 2 or 3 years? And then you're free?
Then I'm free. Then I can go. I already have an indoor in to that specific red teaming company that I'm from Minnesota and talking about. I already have a door open for me for offensive security. I have people that are willing to pay for my training, that are willing to keep me updated. I have known people that also work in defense of the blue team. So I'm interested in red teaming. Red teaming is really hard to do. Red teaming, a lot of people claim they can red team, but they just suck. They just run in-map and they run a couple of scripts and say, your ports are open. Okay, here's my money. Give me your money. They don't really run an exploit or root or show a proof of concept that the vulnerability is real. It could be a false positive for all we know.
Yeah.
They're
hacking into all the coffee cups.
A red team operator, this specific Minnesota company would try to break in if they can't hack the Wi-Fi or their front end of their web page or their online infrastructure. They would physically try to break in and they plant if you were to show them again, the Raspberry Pi wireless implant right here.
Ta-da.
And then basically that will connect to their internal network and then you can run scans remotely from there. So you can open the top if you want. It has be careful, there's a connector to a fan and it connects to the Raspberry Pi.
I don't know, you're not using this to hack into my network right now.
It's not plugged in. You have to power it up from the USB-C port.
I don't know, you got a solar panel over there?
So it has a cooling fan.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at is a little plastic box with a giant antenna on it. Well, it's like a foot-long antenna.
Yeah.
And then inside you can see the motherboard and microchip kind of stuff. And it has a tiny fan attached to it, like you would see like on your CPU computer, the maybe like a 4-inch fan that you would have. This one's got like a little 1-inch fan.
Yeah. And this device costs $35.
So looks like you can plug USB and Cat 5s into it if you.
Yep, you can plug in a Cat 5. You can plug in Ethernet cable. So this Minnesota Reddit team company, when they break into the server room, they would start putting these implants wirelessly or over a Ethernet cable, and then they don't have to break into there ever again. They can just remotely hack into it because it connects back to a VPS, a virtual private server. I customized my wireless implant to run on OpenVPN access server, so I have a site-to-site VPN. So I have 2 backup plans. I have a SSH tunnel that I log in through a online public IP address.
Yeah.
And then I also have a OpenVPN tunnel which is a site-to-site VPN. The site being the victim's Wi-Fi hotspot. So I have 2 ways in, and all I have to do is just bring and power up that Raspberry Pi and drop it off at the area.
Our new cars all computerized now?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Did you show them the password from the Audi MMI password from the password list I showed you?
Yeah, did you show us all our passwords?
Well, I could put it on the screen in post-production.
No, don't give away all the Audi passwords.
Anyway, so what do you want to say?
So basically, in my meth-powered hacking spree, driving around with a parabolic antenna, de-authenticating, capturing handshakes, I cracked the password to a Audi's MMI touchscreen radio radio system, for their radio entertainment system, their head unit basically.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how deep would have gone if I have to look for that specific car, obviously. Right. It's an 8-digit key, so I have to go back to find that car, wherever that car is.
Yeah.
Then I have to see if I can actually hack his car, if I can turn on his horn, change his radio stations, make the steering wheel go left and right, slam his brakes, that kind of stuff.
Probably you could play heavy metal though.
Yeah, I could probably do that. It depends how Audi engineered it though. Yes. But I recommend to the viewers of this podcast, Alyssa Knight's Hacking Connected Cars.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, just my question was more directed at that's going to be a part of our computerized future too, right? All these cell phones we're carrying around, all the cars we're driving.
Oh yeah.
Everything is getting more and more networked and computerized, right?
Actually, car manufacturers are trying to test this new technology. I think it's called CV2K, but it basically allows one car, it operates over 5G, our new 5G cellular networks. Mm-hmm. And our new cars can communicate to each other over 5G to pass along information. So imagine being hunted down by cops, and each cop can talk to each other over 5G, and each one functions as like a 5G cell phone, so it can basically coordinate its own automated dragnet to catch your ass.
Yeah. I mean, that's good if we want to catch criminals, right?
Right.
Okay.
But so, there's, like a lot of things, it could be for the good or for the bad, like this would be a good thing for having cars to communicate to each other using 5G. Mm-hmm. But I would say that a lot of privacy problems come in place. You're going to be losing a lot more of your privacy. You're not going to be getting any more privacy.
Yeah, I don't want everybody to know I'm listening to Nelly Furtado and just crying my way to work.
Well, you don't want to, Apple, to be looking at your baby pictures that you were taking in the bathtub because you were just giving your baby a bath, and then you heard about it. Apple, flagging child porn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So do you want to get arrested because you were giving your baby a bath?
Yeah.
It's that kind of shit. We're losing more of our privacy. We're losing more of our rights every day. And it doesn't matter what country you're going into. Every other country besides the United States will be a lot more oppressive than the United States.
Yeah. We do like our freedom.
Right. And then a lot of things is during the January 6th riot, a lot of the rioters were caught up using license plate readers.
Is that the Capitol Hill? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when they had the January 6th riot where Ashley Babbitt died, and one police officer was killed, a Capitol police officer was killed.
So when all these people stormed the Capitol and broke in and
they tracked hundreds of these guys down to file federal indictments using basically license plate readers on the freeways.
Right.
To correlate who were staying in what hotels and stuff, so they could file indictments later. Mm-hmm. Right now, facial recognition technology is a very big concern. Mm-hmm. You may have read reports about how facial recognition technology is racially biased towards whites and Asians, because it's normally whites and Asians that programmed these facial recognition technology. So basically, as a black person going down a shopping center with a camera with facial recognition technology installed, this black person could be mistaken for a person that may have done like a drive-by shooting, and he goes to jail.
Is part of that because brighter or lighter colors are easier to distinguish than like dark skin? Darker is the absence of light, right? That's less light reflecting. Is because that's physically different data that's coming into whatever reader or camera or scanner.
From what I understand, it's not about the amount of light or the contrast.
Yeah.
It's about the sample faces. There's more white and Asian sample faces used in facial recognition technology. So that means facial recognition technology can identify my face better on facial recognition cameras. So that sucks. Because that means that when I'm up to no good, it's really me.
You should have been black, bro.
Well, that could be good or bad. I've only watched or as in being recognized easy or not easy. That's what I meant by that could be good or bad.
Yes.
I've only watched like a 5-minute documentary on that where they were saying the sample size is exactly it. That because there's more Asian and white programmers, they're inputting into the AI, I guess, they're inputting faces of white and Asian more. And I actually heard white people more. So it's not that the short documentary is trying to say it's not that black, it isn't bouncing light for the face and whatnot. It's just that the sample size has less black people, so therefore
the input data was not insufficient.
Yeah.
I mean, so China currently has some very
oppressive facial recognition technology that they use to
extensively employed around their country, right? Like
exactly, all across Beijing, all across Urumqi, which is the capital of the Xinjiang province, the Muslim state.
I heard one story where they just set up facial recognition cameras at like a concert where people were going to watch music, and then it was like 10,000 people went to this concert, but the software goes, oh, that guy's he's got a warrant out, and they were able to grab people from this concert that they figured were criminals, right?
Right.
So if you're out to get criminals, that's a good thing, but it
could also be used.
If you feel like it's an oppressive government, then then was he really a criminal? That's a different question. But it's strange that you have the broadest, most advanced implementation of facial recognition in China currently, because they all look Chinese to me. It's a setup for a terrible joke.
Would you mind talking about your time in prison?
Yeah.
Experience and whatnot.
Well, here I want to talk about misconceptions in the feds. Okay, everybody in the state thinks that everybody in the feds is some sort of criminal mastermind. No, they're just bigger and dumber people that got caught up for a much bigger quantity of meth. Mainly, the 99% of them did their stupid shit on meth or some sort of drug like heroin. I would say that 99% of them now that are in pretrial, that is, they're still in some sort of federal facility, but they're going to be sentenced, or in some stage of the criminal prosecutor process. They are here for gun or drug charges.
So a lot of people in federal prison or on their way to prison for federal crimes is gun and drug related? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
I've seen an uptick of gun charges because I guess since all these crazy active shooter scenarios, they've been trying to snag anybody with gun charges. I have seen some pretty sad stories.
Yeah. Well, so say you're a gun enthusiast, right? I like machine guns. I want to have a lot of guns. What's the line? What's going to get you in trouble in federal prison?
If you cross the state line. I met a guy that was from Texas.
Yeah.
He made it over to this state in private federal prison. What happened was he crossed the state line. I guess he just got some sort of unregistered firearm, or pistol, extended clip on his pistol. He went to federal prison for that.
Okay. So so the federal law then says whatever your state laws for guns are, you can't be going to another state? Is that the...
I'm not exactly sure. I just know that he was basically in there for a bullshit charge. I have met another guy, a person that was formerly in the United States Marines.
Yeah. And
he made a arms manufacturing company, and the ATF had some sort of bone to pick with him or something. So when they raided his, remember, he makes guns for the military.
Yeah.
He's a contractor for the military.
Yeah.
But then the ATF wanted to paint him as a picture as a big time, Victor Bout, the Lord of War by Nicolas Cage, gun runner kind of guy.
Okay.
They were trying to say that he was supplying guns to Russia and the Middle East and Africa.
Yeah.
And all they could really hit him for is one single count of following a false document because the ATF were being a bunch of shitbags, and the only crime that they can actually pop him for was that he mislabeled some sort of document, and then they just charge and convict him of filing a false document.
Weird.
His lawyer did not defend him at all. He got 2 years, but he already did 2 years in the private federal prison.
Yeah.
But the problem is that because his lawyer is such a piece of shit, his lawyer did not ask for credit time served for the time he already did in detention. So now he has to start his 2 years again. So now he's doing 4 years.
I mean, so was he doing any sketchy shit, or he was just running his gun company and?
Yeah, he was just running his gun company.
Oh.
He did nothing wrong.
Weird.
The ATF thought that his gun company was some sort of front for some sort of gun running operation, but they couldn't find any evidence on him.
Huh.
They just they got him in there for 18, 24 months for paperwork. That's it.
Yeah, that's weird.
Not even illegally giving away fake background checks to criminals kind of stuff. Just a filing, like some sort of business filing, from what I understand.
Hmm.
And
so you heard that story from him?
Yeah.
Like you met him in prison, or what was the?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
it's fascinating.
I mean, there's a lot of people in prison that shouldn't be in prison, or they shouldn't be committing crimes.
Wait a minute. Doesn't everybody in prison say, hey, I'm innocent? I didn't do it, man.
That kind of thing happens if you are pretrial. Once you're convicted and the court has found you guilty, you better admit to your faults, man. You can't just say you're innocent anymore. I admit to what I did. I just admitted it on this podcast.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they don't owe up to their crimes, unfortunately. They think, it was like a demand out to get them or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I have met a guy in Chicago that I guess the ATF fucked his mind up or something because he pulled out a AR-15 out in broad daylight in a shopping center and started pointing at a woman that he thought was a Fed. Yeah. I've met my fair share of crazies. I've met fair share of gun runners, drug dealers, fraudsters, bad fraudsters. There's this guy I know in private prison over in this area, and I don't want to say his name or his handle, but he told me that he thinks he can make new social security numbers to reset his credit. And his stupid scheme is that he's going to register a new LLC under his own name. So like a DBA, doing business as name.
Okay.
And then he's going to, run a credit and then sign up for credit cards under this LLC, which is actually based on someone's name. And I was mad at him because he was trying to get me on a stupid ass scheme.
Yeah.
I told him I don't want to have anything to fuck around with you. I have gotten contact information from some of the cool people here in the federal prison here. But as far as this guy goes, stay the fuck away from me. You're going to drag all of us down,
Sounds like a good way to get in trouble again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you spent 3 years in federal prison?
2 years.
2 years, and then you spent some time in a county jail?
Just 1 day in county jail.
Oh, just one. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about your time in the federal prison.
But that's basically my time in the federal prison. I would say...
well, dealing with maybe the guards, were the guards pretty harsh on you? Is it as bad as like the movies? I've
seen your old video about talking about our prison guards. I've been through 2 prison riots. There's a guy, he's a real piece of shit. His name is George Enrique Abramovs, and this inmate was caught up for stealing from the Paycheck Protection Program. And what he did, he tried to snitch on our entire unit. He tried to say that we were manufacturing alcohol, we were having shanks, we were having tattoo guns, And then when he got beaten up for it, we had an immediate shakedown, from the entire staff, because a shakedown to bust up our bunks and find our tattoo guns and booze and drugs and all this stuff,
Right.
I mean, of course there's drugs in federal prison. I just explained how it was smuggled in,
How do you smuggle in drugs to federal prison?
Well, we just explained it like earlier in the episode. Remember, I just gave you one. I can't tell about all the techniques because it's happening right now.
Oh, inside your legal documents.
Right.
Okay. So lawyers are sending in the drugs.
Not really. Obviously, not really. I mean, I think.
Okay.
Like what does legal mail look like?
Yeah.
So basically,
let me kind of just answer that. I did a podcast with someone, and I don't want to give away too much information, but
why are you always hanging out with prison people, then?
It's similar to what you do see in the movies. There's the prisoner may be friends with the guard, and the guard is okay with getting some kickback.
Yeah,
that guard will. There might be different areas of security, level 3, level 4, and that guard is willing to pass someone selling a cell phone that they shouldn't sell a cell phone. He's willing to get kickback on that. Or there might be whether two prison guards that are different areas working laundry, and they're able to pass notes to each other.
Yeah.
So I don't want to incriminate previous podcast guests, so I'm trying to keep it very generic.
I mean, half of them were guards, right?
You're absolutely correct. There was actually a guard at my private prison that was busted for taking bribes.
Yeah.
For smuggling in meth. I don't want to say his name, but
it's okay.
Right. He got a brand new $100,000 Mercedes that an inmate bought him. He got all kinds of fancy shit, a new house, just for smuggling dope into prison.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about how much it costs for meth in prison. Of course I was doing dope in prison,
What do you do all day?
$10 of dope, which is like a little teener. $10 of dope is going to buy you maybe a quarter of a gram nowadays, I think. $10 on the street. That runs for $300 in prison.
Damn.
So drugs cost a lot more money in prison.
Yeah, that's the incentive for smuggling in drugs in prison.
Okay, but so if you're in prison, where do you get $300 from?
Well, you get it through your commissary account, or you ask family to do Cash App. You heard about Cash App, right? Square, Cash App. I think Cardi B and Snoop Dogg were talking about it.
Yeah.
So we use Cash App, to send money to each other, and then we just ask our family members to send money back to us.
Yeah. So, I mean, does your family want to send you $300 to buy meth with?
Of course, we didn't tell them, it's for meth, but we always pay them back.
Okay, so you're borrowing money.
Right, to cut it and stuff like that,
Okay.
Of course, I wasn't doing the dope operation. I was doing the alcohol operation.
Oh, so it was alcohol.
Yeah, so I did all kinds of drugs in there. I did meth, spice, alcohol, and Suboxone. You get all of those at a huge premium in federal prison.
Oh, well, so if you're making it, then you're making this money, right?
Right.
Okay.
Is spice is that the laced marijuana?
Exactly.
And that's heavily addictive, almost like fentanyl?
I have seen people get wild in federal prison. They had huge episodes flipping out against guards, vomiting, falling off of bunks, being restrained by multiple guards, we have a thing called a wire, because what we use is we have these radios that we use to listen to TV in federal prison, and then we got these headphones that you buy in commissary. So you just strip down the headphones and then strip out the wires, and they connect that to the battery, and then the spice comes in these papers, and it looks like a tiny little paper square the size of a pen dot, about the size of a little pen dot. And that little square of paper will get you high for about 2 hours.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's very efficient.
Yeah. So, I don't want to talk more details about how it's gotten in, but it looks like paper.
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking that your time in federal prison, was it just mentally tough on you? I mean, that sounds like a stupid question, asking someone, was their time tough in prison? But when you see movies...
Did prison suck?
When you see movies and TV shows depicting prison, what's your thoughts on that?
You're not going to believe this shit, but in the private federal prison that I've been at here, we have PlayStation 4s.
Oh, okay.
We only have 3 PlayStation 4s. There's up to 96 people in the unit, so we have to take turns playing PlayStation 4, but we got games like Madden, NFL, Injustice. One guy in one unit managed to get GTA 5 in We obviously can't play.
Wait, they don't want you playing this criminal simulator game?
So no, there's a guy that actually got GTA 5 in somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, through the previous obvious channels, legal mail, bribing the guards. I don't know, because according to the stupid prisoner inmate manual, you're not supposed to play GTA 5 because it involves killing cops.
Yeah.
But this guy managed to get it in.
So would you say you're sorry if I cut you off?
Well, I was going to say you can't play multiplayer on these PlayStation 4s. They obviously lock down the internet and the networks. Yeah.
Would you say you feel your time in prison was pretty good or easy compared to what maybe how bad it could get? Would that be?
I think my time was pretty damn easy compared to the prisons you see in movies like Blood In, Blood Out, where people are fighting for their lives, collecting money, collecting juice money from someone they're extorting or some shit like that. I never been extorted. People have tried to extort me, but because of, we organize on race in this part of the country. So I got people backing me up. That also brings into my second prison riot, because our race were supposed to back up this other guy that just showed up in the unit that was accused of stealing. We had 24 hours to roll him up, which means beat him up and get him out of the unit. We chose not to. We said that this story sounds shady, that we should probably back him up and defend him from the Southsiders. So the Southsiders put out a hit on this guy, and we protected him, and then we went into a huge race riot. It was 9 of us versus 30 Southsiders and Pisces to protect one guy accused of stealing.
Damn.
We all went to the hole, but the rumor about in the prison is that us 9 people, we did like a 300, like the movie 300.
Yeah.
We did a fucking curb stomp battle on their asses.
The last stand, huh?
Yeah, I took 10 hits in the head from a broom handle because they were trying to. Because back then I was 240 pounds. Right now I weigh 199, but back then I was 240 pounds, so I was real fat. From commissary. So they're trying to break the line, and me and another guy that was also huge, were basically backed into this corner, protecting this specific guy that was accused of stealing. They tried to break our lines, and one of them tried to smash me in the head with a broom handle. It took about 5 to 10 hits before it finally went down.
Oh, jeez.
And then that's when all hell broke loose.
Wow.
Yeah.
You said you spent time in the hole?
Oh yeah, I spent 25 days in the hole.
Holy shit, 25.
Oh, that's not that bad. Some people spend a year in the hole.
It's not that bad. Fuck,
So this is solitary confinement for the uninitiated here?
Yeah.
Is it by any chance different in a private prison at all? Like, meaning, is there? I don't know. If you look at,
Is that where the PlayStation's at?
There is no PlayStation.
like on movies, you'll see that the hole is dark for
It is dark.
23 hours of the day. So it's like in the movies.
I can only shower on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I can use a phone, but I have to sign up for this stupid phone list, and the guards are complete idiots. So by the time they make it down the tier on the stairs, they forget about my name. So every fucking time I get breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I demand, hey, where's my phone?
Yeah.
Where's my phone? Where's my phone? So I can call my family, call my lawyer, and tell them what the hell happened. You lose your phone privileges for, violent activity like the riot I've been in, which we had to defend that one guy that was accused of stealing.
Yeah.
So actually, they took away my phone privilege about 3 days into my 25 days stay in the hole.
Yeah.
So I can only call my lawyer in Chicago, and then from Chicago, my lawyer has to call my family locally here to tell what happened.
Yeah.
This is a stupid question, but I feel like I have to ask it. When people say drop the soap, what in prison?
You didn't have to ask that.
Okay,
Is that fucking stupid? Like people,
it's a joke that people play. It's not like you drop the soap, pick up some big burly Tyrone motherfucker is in a rhino butt fuck you in the ass. Okay, that doesn't happen anymore, because if that happened in the prison in the Southwest, either state or private or federal prison, a riot would jump off.
okay.
We have rules too.
Yep.
Just like how we had to defend that individual for allegedly stealing. He didn't steal shit. He took batteries without asking for it to smoke spice. Okay? and then they called him a thief. He put the batteries back. You know, they let him borrow the fucking batteries before. But, you know, all of a sudden, this guy that was accused of stealing didn't want to share spice anymore because people were taking advantage of him. So now they call him a thief, and they jumped him, and he made it to our unit, and now we had to defend him. I stand by this guy's words. He did not steal. All right? If someone were to fucking call him a thief, another riot's going to jump off right now. If we were still in federal prison, you know?
Yeah. So
honor amongst thieves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a violent place. And then do you have to, I mean, you basically have to join a race gang to survive? Is that the reality of it?
The thing is that, like, it's not that bad. I mean, they organize it by white, black, you know, Uzo, United Samoan Organization, Paisa. Paisa is cartel Mexicans, so Mexicans are Paisa. Southsiders, you know. Generally, like, unless you're in a real federal facility, because for me, I was in a detention center. I wasn't in, like, let's see, United States Penitentiary, Beaumont, bloody Beaumont, you know, where it gets really political. One drug debt and a huge riot jumps off, everyone whips out shanks from underneath the sinks and other higher places, and they just jab each other with an 8-inch shank, you know? But, like, me, I was in a like a, I don't really want to be too specific about it. But it's like the holding center prior to federal prison. By the time I got sentenced, I finally, you know, did my time. I didn't even get sentenced to a real Bureau of Prisons facility. The only real Bureau of Prisons facility I've been to was another detention facility called Chicago MCC. You know, over there was a sad story about a guy that killed himself. He's from a gang called the Latin Folks. Because over in Chicago, it's not Bloods and Crips and Uzo and, you know, Southsiders. In Chicago, you got the Vice Lords, the Gangster Disciples, the Latin Folks, Latin Kings, the Simon City Royals. So a Latin folk killed himself. And I guess, like, someone, you know, I guess the guards tried to cover it up by shutting down the phones. So one of the other Latin folk shot callers, he put out a threat to the correctional officers in that facility, and we got locked down for 72 hours. No shower, no phone, no nothing, because we were trying to figure out if the gang was planning to murder a guard. You know, it's
why would a guard want to cover up that some dude killed himself?
Well, there's a lot to the story from what I understand, but the real story is that he supposedly killed himself because of a girl. I mean, I don't know, man. You're in federal fucking prison. You're looking at 20 to life for gun running.
Yeah.
You know, a girl leaving you is probably the least of your worries. Maybe custody of your children, you know, but, like, as long as, you know, she's willing to stay as a good mom, yeah. You know, but, like, you're talking about your life on trial. I think he's looking at something way worse that he didn't tell any of us. You know, it would happen at a different floor too. So we can talk to each other in Chicago MCC through a specific cell through an air vent. So that's how we relay, you know, the information, and that's how we also know when a riot goes down. Because there's about 88 people that can fit on each floor. There's 26 floors on Chicago MCC. 88 people can fit on each floor. The 26th floor is the ceiling, the quote-unquote yard. Well, we have a volleyball court up there, and then the remaining 25 floors are cells. Some are offices, so let's say we got about 20 floors, you know, and we can all talk to each other through this specific cell, through the vent, and you can coordinate a prison riot by overpowering the up to 2 guards that are managing 88 inmates on each floor. At that point, the Bureau of Prisons guards, as well as maybe the marshals that, you know, help them out, have to take each floor one by one if a riot jumps off.
Wow.
You know,
it sounds like a brutal, crazy, violent environment.
It's
right?
way worse than the private prison that I went to, you know?
Yeah.
When I interviewed the prison guard, he mentioned that the rapists and I think female abusers, meaning men that would beat up women and whatnot, would often get slashes on their face from other inmates to put them in a separate group. Did you happen to see that at all?
We remember I was in detention, so the politics are more lighter there. We still got the prison riots. I just told you 2 prison riots I've been through, but it gets way more political in the feds.
Gotcha.
Just like in the state. From what I was told, child molesters, wife beaters, and rapists, and snitches are dead bitches.
Yeah.
From what I heard, like as soon as we find out, because in the state, I was told that we check the paperwork. As soon as you make it in prison, we're gonna find out. Like I was actually planning to bring my paperwork with you guys here, but there's a lot of mentions of my name, and the arresting officers and special agents, that arrested me. So I wasn't sure. But basically, if I were to go to the feds right now, I'll have to call my lawyer once I reach my actual federal prison to ask the lawyer to send over a CD or USB drive of my paperwork, print it out, send it to the shot caller to say, hey, I'm good. This guy's solid.
Or you're not a child molester? Is that the idea?
So,
exactly.
So from that interview with Ernest, the prison guard, he said some, say, child molester will come to a jail and he knows the politics where he may get slashed on his face. So he'll try to hide it. He'll just come in and say
I don't want to get face slashed.
So say he's a Mexican dude, whatever. It doesn't matter. He's going to be part of the Mexican crew. So the Mexican crew is going to start asking, hey, why are you in here, bro? Yeah. And then he may say, oh, I got caught breaking
essay, not bro, essay.
So he may say, I got B&E breaking and entering into some house, and that's why he's here. But then the Mexican crew or group will start asking a bit more. Oh yeah, what house did you break into? What street was it on? What did you actually do? What cop caught you? And as they start asking, they may find the news, the reports as they're questioning him, and then once they figure it out, then they may slash his face, and then
he may just straight up roll him up, like get him.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that guy that caused that prison riot, the first prison riot, the one where George Enrique Abramos, he was the one that stole $2 million from the Paycheck Protection Program. That motherfucker was so hated that when he made it to protective custody, that's what happens when you become a snitch or child molester. Even the snitches and child molesters couldn't handle this guy. And then they beat the shit out of him. And then they took him back to the hole. So then I saw him in the hallway from my unit, my general population unit, that this George Enrique Abramos, guys can Google him. He's on justice.gov right now. He made national news. He is in a wheelchair right now. He's wheelchair bound, regretful for his life. Apparently 2 years for him is a long time. There's a way longer time that you can do without snitching in the feds, and that could be 20 to life for crazy shit. A drug dealer can do a longer time than a murderer. Like the female Texas cop that shot the black man while he was eating ice cream in that apartment. Do you remember?
No.
There was a female Texas cop or Dallas cop that shot and killed a black man at a separate floor in her apartment complex. And she was sentenced to 10 years. But that's before time off the front and back for state and programs. So she's probably going to do 3 to 4 years before getting released for straight up murder. A drug dealer that I met that went to trial got sentenced to 25 years for distribution of meth.
Yeah.
In your case for being a hacker and getting to the detention center, was your case slower to get through the process because of that, or how does that work with like people that are?
It's all the same.
Oh, it's all the same.
It's all the same actually. Now the only good thing is that when I committed my crime, I had no co-defendants. So nobody could snitch on me. So you understand? So the FBI had to go hit me with a series of subpoenas across all the servers I used before they finally found out connecting, my IP address to the specific service, to this specific account. So it took them about 3 years for them to get me.
So three years at the detention center, and then you're out on parole basically for 2 years?
3 years supervised release, 2 years in federal prison.
Oh, okay. I flipped that.
What's your motivation for coming out of the podcast? What do you?
I just wanted some disclosure, like maybe to talk about this in a way where I feel with myself, like of course I couldn't talk about my crimes in federal prison. There's snitches everywhere.
Yeah.
Even there's snitches in general population that you just don't know. Not until the paperwork shows up, you got to roll them up. So that's how it works. It's not like, someone cooperates with the feds in federal prison and then they instantly end up in protective custody.
So roll them up is beat the shit out of somebody.
Yeah, beat the shit out of somebody, get them out the unit.
Okay.
Roll them up is never a nice thing. We don't give kisses or hugs to people we roll up. Their asses is dust.
So you beat them up so bad that then the prison guards say, well, obviously they don't want them here. We got to move them somewhere else. Is that
right?
So if somebody comes to your unit and they look like they just got the shit beat out of them, then you're like, oh, this guy got beat the shit out of.
Well, we try to find out first. We try to talk to the shot caller.
Yeah.
So if a black man got showed up here, let's say that for stealing, right? Because there was a guy that was actually, I'll tell you a story about a guy who stole spice from somebody.
Yeah.
And he was caught for stealing in a higher security unit, so he got beaten up and rolled up. So he made it to our lower security general population unit, and then he stole again. Then the rumors and then the story added up to us. Like, prisoners are not ignorant. We'll find out from the guards. We'll find out from family contacts we talk to outside. We'll find out who's a snitch, who's a thief, or a jailhouse thief. And we found out that this guy's a jailhouse thief.
Yeah.
Now, he's black.
Yeah.
It's the blacks' business, not ours. So obviously, he took him into the law library computer room. We have a little quote-unquote law library in our unit, which is just 4 computers in a room where everyone watches porn, basically. We just like watch smoking and porn, in that computer room when the guard's not watching.
Yeah.
So the blacks took over the computer room in our unit, and then they started questioning him, and then seconds later, like 4 of them just started beating the shit out of him, kicking him while he's down against the door. So we just saw this door like wham, just like nearly opening up, but because the door's locked, he's just like jumping at the hinges of him getting the crap kicked out of him.
Yeah.
So it's not like we immediately roll someone up over a rumor. We investigate, we find out, we try to find out the paperwork.
Yeah.
If they don't got the paperwork, but they want to accuse somebody, it's either that our race is going to riot, like we defended that guy.
Yeah.
That was accused of from the Southsiders of stealing. If you can't provide the paperwork, we're gonna fucking riot. We're gonna protect this guy.
Yeah.
But if you can provide the paperwork, we'll roll him up and fuck him up ourselves.
Yeah. What an incredible environment that is.
I don't think it's anything incredible. I noticed you interviewed.
I mean, incredible as in unbelievable. Like, that's so foreign to anything I'm used to, right? I don't. It's hard for me to comprehend. Is what I mean by that. Yeah.
Didn't you interview a prison guard and an ex-inmate?
Yeah.
So you heard this.
Yeah, but you watch movies, you hear the stories, and then you go back to your normal life, right? And then I go back to being a realtor and trying to help people buy a house, right? So that's a weird world for me to tap into once in a while, to see a window into that world.
And to some extent, it's great that you're able to describe it with such clarity and yet a little bit of empathy in between it all. So it doesn't sound like you're not coming in here saying, "Oh, I just stabbed someone in jail." Like, we're getting to hear, I guess I would say a human thought out opinion through this experience.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
fascinating.
So like in the feds and generally in any prison, no one's going to get far by running their mouth. It's not like the county jail. A lot of people in the county jail, they try to rip you off, say, "Let me borrow your commissary, I'll pay you back next week." They get bailed out the next day.
Yeah.
In federal prison, you're going to be in there stuck with us for a while. You better make sure that your story sticks up. You better make sure you got the paperwork for the accusations you make against my race. And if you don't have the paperwork, you want to press the issue, we're going to riot.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on if a viewer was watching this and they haven't tried meth or heroin, your experiences, what would you tell them, or what's your thoughts on it?
Okay, so a lot of people, when they do heroin and meth, they were introduced to it by somebody that said it was, the good shit. Like me, I was looking for a substitute for Adderall. I was cheating on exams in college using Adderall. Like everybody knows about Adderall. It's like, oh, you got the Addy? Like, yeah, man, I totally got the Addy hookup.
Yeah.
So my Addy hookup moved out of state. So I asked around online, and one of my friends came up and says, hey, you should try meth. So he says it's just like Adderall. I'm like, wait, isn't meth the bad shit?
Yeah.
You know, and he says, nah, man, it's the good shit. Just a little bit. So I started with a fingernail clipping amount of meth. And then it kept me up for like 48 hours. I was like jacking off the porn for 48 hours.
It's a good time.
You know?
Yeah.
I was like speeding up and down, you know, the local freeways here, you know, with a police radar detector, you know, just having a great time, just like wanting to do something all day. That's also when I started learning hacking.
Yeah.
But remember, I wasted a lot of my time, you know, trying to figure out how to use hacking tools from strip kitties on YouTube. A lot of people on YouTube, they're full of shit.
Strip kitties?
Script kitties. Script kitties, you know, like people that either don't know how to make their own tools or have no understanding of how the TCP IP stack works, and therefore they don't even know why their exploit is not even working. For viewers that are interested in trying heroin meth, I'm just warning you that this introduction could be accidental. It could be that you're looking for a substitute for another drug like Adderall, like I was. It could be that someone gave you some in a party, because when I did meth, I didn't start by smoking it. I dissolved and drank it. You can take meth and you can dissolve it in water, which makes it taste like shit, by the way. So put it in put it in
Makes water taste terrible.
Yeah, makes it taste terrible and salty.
Okay.
Put it in Monster energy drinks. If you are currently a tweaker that wants to be a functioning addict. But for people that have never tried heroin and meth, I can't show my face. I can't show you my teeth. But look where it got me, man. I can't appeal to have this Computer Fraud and Abuse Act conviction, you know, expunged.
Yeah.
I have to do 3-year supervised release. I have to call drug testing every day after 6. I have to call them to see if I have a drug test the next day. I can get violated for having an empty beer can in the house. You know, I am forced to take jobs that do hire felons, like welding, truck driving, you know, other shit jobs that like even Walmart wouldn't hire a felon. Even they do background checks, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've interviewed a Trin. She works for mental health, and she talks about some of the people with fentanyl. Felony background. Sorry, and she's talking about she wants to help these people with mental health, and when they have the felony background, she's so stuck on helping them. She wants to help them, but it's unfortunate that the system, America's system, is like it's more repressive and not about rebuilding people at all.
Right. Like
so even after you serve your time, you're still paying for the crime.
Right. Like you still got the scarlet letter. You know, I'm so mad about this, and I'm also mad about the facial recognition technology, license plate scanners, predictive policing technology, where they use it to oppress minorities and current felons. I'm actually planning to leave the country. If I can't get a red teaming job after my supervised release is done, if I can't find a comfortable white-collar career here, if I still have to work in a shit job, you know, washing dishes for the rest of my life, fuck this place, I'm out.
That makes sense.
You know?
From this conversation, it seems, I mean, I don't know you when you're under meth and whatnot, but the things you describe, the clarity, the way you describe something that seems clear enough for me.
You just do meth anymore.
I guess it seems the information that you have, the knowledge on hacking, and your even when you say you're a gray hacker, there seems to be some empathy. So I mean, I feel like this conversation has been really fantastic. So from what I know of you within this 3 hours, I think a company would want to pick you up, but the felony background and stuff, I understand.
Exactly.
It's a very unfortunate thing. So anyway, yeah, I'm just saying, the things you describe, I think the amount of information that you know, it seems like a company could really use you. So that's all I'm saying.
I am currently taking accounting at the local university, and I will be majoring into finance.
Excellent.
I don't want to say money is power, but in the stock market is the only market where you can be a felon and still trade in the stock market. You can be convicted of fraud and still trade in the stock market as long as it's your money. The stock market is willing to suck up any idiot's money on any bad decision and still be able to turn that into, cash, into a good idea.
Yeah.
So I'm planning to double major in finance in the local university.
Okay.
Hopefully I can find a future there. If I can't, I'll just be leaving. I'll probably have a proxy agent work in the New York Stock Exchange for me, to handle my money here.
I think it's good that even though you've slipped down such a unfortunate wild path, that you're still looking for constructive, path forward, right? You're looking for a bright future like everybody, right?
Right.
So that's a great outlook to have those goals. I like that.
Right.
That it's not just a lost cause, right?
No, it's not a lost cause.
Yeah. It's a lot more challenging from where you're at.
It is a lot more challenging. People will label me. One of my supervised release conditions is I can't even work as a cashier in Walmart because the reason why is because I'm not allowed to handle personally identifiable information like credit cards, social security numbers, addresses. So I cannot even swipe your card at a Walmart as a cashier.
Or check somebody's ID if they're trying to buy alcohol.
Right. I can't even do that,
Yeah.
But I would say that my supervised release conditions are pretty light compared to most people.
Yeah.
Bank robbers are not allowed to have bank accounts. I'm not kidding you.
I've never thought about that. Yeah. Huh.
In the feds, they give you creative sentences.
Yeah.
I know a lady that was convicted of fraud. She's not allowed to have a debit card, credit card. She's now forced to use Cash App debit cards because it comes with a debit card or Chime.
Okay.
To handle her finances.
Okay. Well, she's finding the alternate routes to.
Yeah.
It's hard to get by in America without some kind of payment card.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're going to do the final questions. You got a decent amount of time, almost 30 minutes, only 5 questions. So feel free to take these on tangents if you want.
I'm going to grill you, bro.
Okay.
First question, what great daily habits do you have?
Not committing a crime today.
Well, daily habits is to finish my accounting homework, to work on my double major. I haven't declared a double major yet, though.
Yeah.
But I'm planning to, declare my double major because I called my probation officer last week, and he says he feels that it could be a violation if I declare a double major in finance because I could be, quote unquote, handling other people's money. I assured him that it's not happening. Then I told him that's going to be me building my own nest egg with my own money, and then he finally okayed it.
Yeah, but I think learning about finance is different than working in finance.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
Out of a tangent, Emmett has an accounting degree.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he would vote against the accounting degree and go for the finance degree. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. I always wish I'd done finance instead of accounting.
What?
So accounting is very backwards looking. Accounting always looks at what happened. It's kind of the history and the record keeping of what happened.
Right, exactly.
So it's good in that sense if you want to understand a company's financials. Finance is more forward-looking. Finance is what's going to happen. It's about interest rates. It's about what's a stock going to do. So they're very similar fields of study.
Right.
But just in their focus, accounting is accounting for what got us to this point.
Right.
And finance is typically from this point, where are we going forward?
Right.
Would it be a short sentence to that? Would it be that accounting is kind of stuck with your current money situation where finance is looking forward to make more money potentially? Is that
correct? Yeah. If you want to make money and earn money, then finance is more about earning money.
Right. My family's told me that I was going to make a lot of money for accounting. That's a load of shit. You're going to start off a $40,000 a year job as a staff accountant. You will have to bust your ass for 10 years to even hit 90,000.
Yeah.
And then you'll be handling so much critical information, running subsidiary ledger accounts with all of your clients. So let's say that you're an auto repair shop and then you have to buy parts from these dealers. You'll be managing, you'll be cross-referencing on each line vertically, horizontally, make sure they all balance and check out.
Yeah. Accounting is very secure. Aside from the felony record, if you want an accounting job and you have an accounting degree, it's easy to get accounting jobs. So it's very secure.
Right.
But it's hard to get rich as an accountant.
Right.
Most accountants end up doing the accounting for somebody else, right? Accounting somebody else's books. So it's funny you said that. I literally finished college in 2001, started as a staff accountant at $40,000 a year. So that's literally what I did. Yeah.
So did I correctly predict your future for at least 5 years?
No, because I quit after 3 years.
Okay, so at least you knew ahead of time. At least you reacted fast.
Yeah, well, I never loved it. But it's it's a lot of hanging out in a cubicle and looking at spreadsheets and filing papers and so with your computer background, here's what actually happens is now a lot of it is accounting software, and it's poorly written because it's written by computer programmers who don't think like accountants.
Right.
So they're trying to make this program to help make your job better, but they're really not thinking like an accountant. So they miss a lot of intuitive things that would happen for an accountant. And so you end up, anytime one program talks to another, you got your database over here and you need to get the crystal reports to pull the data from here. You end up spending a lot of time fixing stuff that didn't work right in your computer. And so you end up with a lot of workarounds and a lot of...
That sounds like the asshole that wrote my accounting homework, McGraw-Hill Connect.
Yeah.
So they don't know how to think like an accountant. So I was pissed off that I lost that points to a homework question that I can't redo because I was supposed to put a negative sign instead of the brackets to represent as negative. And I'm like, what in the fuck? I lost 1 point because of this?
Yeah. So a lot of that kind of frustration when you're accounting and working with computers.
Yeah.
For sure. So
so
it sounds like your interest sounds more aligned with finance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll throw in my 2 cents on it, whether you want to take it or not. For the dual degrees, I find that once you get further in your career, you said a double major.
Right.
I find, is it going to take any more time? Like, is it 6 months more of it?
I think I haven't calculated. I have to go talk to the staff. I've yet to talk to the staff about it. I just finally convinced the probation officer to allow me to take a double major in finance.
Yeah.
If it's less than 6 months, I would say probably you can do it. But if it's more, my suggestion, it's not really worth it. When I don't know if accounting and finance are different, but in the IT field, having a dual major, it doesn't really help. Once you get about 2 years in the workforce, it's your experience in the workforce that matters. Your degree is kind of like just something written on paper that doesn't really help anything, if that makes sense. So, meaning get a single degree. That would be my suggestion. Go work for like 2 or 3 years, and then that's your resume. It doesn't even matter what school or even what the degree is sometimes.
Okay, because I can't work as an accountant because of my supervised release conditions.
Yeah.
I have to work. If I have to work, I have to work as a welder or a truck driver.
Yeah.
What else was it?
So can you dig ditches for pipes and
that kind of shit?
Manual labor.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to go back to higher education. I was like, fuck this shit. Any money that I do earn, I want to make sure that I invest it into an ESG fund, environmental social governance fund, or mess around with decentralized finance.
Ooh, DeFi.
Yeah. My brother's all about the DeFi.
So is there some point after 3 years which your supervision ends and they go, okay, you're cool, you can do whatever you want?
Yeah. As soon as 3 years are up, my 3 years have started in July.
So could you spend 3 years just working on your finance degree?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I plan to do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Does that? I'm guessing the answer is no, but can you do a IT related degree, but then just wait till 3 years to get in the field? I
asked him about that. He said he has to ask the judge.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, he's being a dick about it. He says like I'm making the judge uncomfortable by learning additional cybersecurity skills. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean I have to tell him. I could just go to linuxacademy.net, linuxacademy.com.
Don't tell us, you're not going to tell him.
And then just sign up for like a Pearson testing center for Amazon Web Services account. Amazon Web Services certification. When I was on pretrial out on bond, I already hold a basic Amazon Web Services cloud certification, certified cloud practitioner. That just basically means that you know what Amazon is offering. I could just secretly take Solutions Architect, get certified right now, And then,
so anytime you have access to a computer, there's a whole world of learning you can do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like you have already seen right now, I still have access to my computer. I am blown away by the leniency of these things. Like, I don't need my laptop in my backpack to hack you. Mm-hmm. I can just get you with that Raspberry Pi. Except I'll just buy me another Raspberry Pi, connect it to a TV in my house, connect a modem to that, and then I'm going to go come get you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next question. What do you know or think of cryptocurrency?
So I've written a response. Basically, I just want to explain that I use cryptocurrency with the intent to buy criminal services, bulletproof hosting, stressor services, which are basically DDoS botnets. I use them to pay other hackers for other services. I use them on places like Genesis Market to buy basically farmed creds from so-called bots, which allows me to replay your cookies to log into your, I don't know, like your Bangladeshi military account, Mm-hmm. I found all kinds of creds on Genesis Market. It's an invite-only kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I feel that cryptocurrency in its legitimate usage and how they try to justify in the Wall Street Journal, it has very little intrinsic value. It does not make you dividends like a stock. Mm-hmm. A lot of its value is speculative, mm-hmm. and unfortunately, when you do things like decentralized finance or mining and boost the value of the cryptocurrency, think about the child pornographer making guy that's now more incentivized to make more. To sell more criminal services. They feel more like enabled.
Well, they would still do it anyways, just using cash. I mean, cash is
that's true. But it's just like something that I thought in my mind is like a lot of things that you find on the dark net. Like I go to some pretty dark places, online, either in the ClearNet or on Tor. Mm-hmm. Amazing fact is that a lot of these criminal services provided by Ukrainians and Russians, and they actually advertise on the ClearNet more often than the darknet because they think that law enforcement is harder. They crack down more on Tor or I2P, which is the Invisible Internet Project. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So even Chinese hackers, when they sell fully undetectable payloads, they do it out in the ClearNet, out in websites that with a weird sounding domain names because they don't know English. So instead of saying, like hackerwares.ch, they make a website called, www.zzyyy.ca, So that's how a lot of actual Chinese websites are.
What do you think about consensus on the blockchain?
Consensus?
Like how cryptocurrency and then the technology underneath of it with blockchain, how it's a consensus of miners to come to an answer. And it's like it's kind of a consensus of so many computers and people working together to keep the system going.
Oh, you mean like mining pools?
No. Just the whole thing of blockchain. Because with blockchain, so the mining pools, they're kind of the same in the miners for this question, but with decentralization, you get consensus. So I feel like when I look at it, I'm kind of like sci-fi-ish, and I'm so pro cryptocurrency or pro blockchain that consensus gives us a paradigm shift on having to trust, say, New York Times or police officers that's so centralized, or banks printing money, banks and government printing money.
Right.
Where I think consensus of computers and code has it in a way that people can agree on a system where where a bad actor is usually kicked out.
I think that's a great idea. I think that a lot of things that governments are trying to hide, FBI, CIA, NSA, if these things, you can't lie about these things if you have consensus on the blockchain, if these things were happening on the blockchain.
Yep.
Like companies like CipherTrace, they have traced down the $4.4 million stolen from Colonial Pipelines, recovered but the majority of it, the FBI. Mm-hmm. With consensus on the blockchain, and you're basically saying consensus on the blockchain is trust between the user.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, exactly.
It's like Wikipedia. The users maintain the content.
Exactly.
Not some central authority that could just, redact or censor out things.
Yeah.
So you're saying that basically you can't hide, potentially unethical activity.
I think humans are going to be humans. I think there's going to be bad humans and there's going to be good humans. If a bad human wants to do their thing, they're going to either use cryptocurrency or they could use cash. Cash is going to provide the same thing, if not maybe even ultimate, sometimes easier depending on what you're using it for. But I think humans are going to be humans. So I do like that cryptocurrency and blockchain provides this consensus module, this consensus paradigm that I think it's going to, I see it helping businesses, governments, people at a big level that most people don't even comprehend. So that's why I asked about consensus. So
right. Well, I mean, I have heard a lot about blockchain technology for accounting purposes. So it's basically a digital ledger.
Yeah.
So I do have. I obviously I was in prison. I was constantly being bothered by people. Wanted to trade. Obviously, what I made, booze. So I was recently reading the Wall Street Journal, but I was reading about other topics like, can people hack facial recognition by stealing your face and then access your bank account? That's supposedly what the Wall Street Journal, the tech, briefing, is saying. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have much to say about it because I was basically drawn by other topics.
Yeah, totally understood.
You've been off the grid for a bit here.
Yeah.
All right, next question. What's the biggest problem for humans and what should we do to fix it?
Well, the biggest problem for humans today is lack of common sense. I will tell you a story about a prison guard that nearly caught COVID in private prison because he thinks the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines have microchips.
Oh.
So I asked my brother over the prison phone, like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
And he says, oh, this guy's one of those QAnon idiots. So I think misinformation is basically, one of the biggest problems that we have, misinformation and lack of common sense. Basically, it's the same for cybersecurity. Everybody, in some tech company is going to have a secret meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning with a PowerPoint about, like cybersecurity, like don't put your passwords on that fucking table where the maid could see it,
Yeah.
Does anybody listen to that stupid thing? No.
Yeah.
They don't listen to that thing. They don't listen to anything on the PowerPoint, but the person that did the PowerPoint is going to get paid anyways. So he's happy. I mean, he did his job, but like the lack of common sense and all this misinformation,
So you're saying it's difficult for the average person to
learn.
Yeah, we have all this information available. We can't tell what's true. We can't tell what's smart.
Right.
That's probably... Is it a matter of our modern world has gotten so complex that it's hard for the average person to comprehend it all?
Yeah. I actually read a book my brother bought me. I think he meant it as a joke. It says, you are not so smart.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a section of the book in the book, You Are Not So Smart, and it says why you cannot remember more than 200 Facebook friends. And so it doesn't matter how many Facebook friends you have on Facebook. We can only memorize about 200 because biologically we were evolved with grooming functions as quote-unquote friends. So as friends, we were supposed to be grooming functions as monkeys, like we were supposed to pick fleas off each other's furs as little monkeys or something.
Yeah.
And we can only develop bonds and intimately know about 200-something people. After that limit, once you hit like 1,000-something people, you're not going to remember those 800 people.
Yeah.
They're not close friends to you.
Right.
Yeah.
What would you suggest? How would we fix it?
Get a better memory, bro.
I don't think it's an easy problem to fix. Lack of common sense and misinformation is a difficult problem to combat. It's obvious that the Russians and Chinese are conducting information warfare against us by spreading these rumors about, COVID vaccines mutating people. They're saying that COVID vaccines are killing black people and sterilizing them. They're saying that COVID vaccines have microchips in them. I mean, all they have to do is just open up a few bot Facebook accounts, steal some pictures from Flickr or Instagram, make a new fake Facebook account, and then just automate them and just spout more fake bullshit.
Yeah.
It seems easier to spread misinformation than to combat it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have an answer on how to fix this, unfortunately.
How do we make people smarter?
I'll take it.
Well, you can't teach a person that doesn't want to learn,
Yeah, that's true.
All right, next question. It's a lot friendlier. What's your favorite food?
I prefer Thai noodles.
Oh, so glad you didn't say meth.
Are you sure? Because I know a lot of Thai people that do meth.
Sorry, Thai food. Spicy or not spicy?
Spicy, very spicy.
Okay.
I don't want to do, when I go up to a Thai restaurant, I don't do the white boy hot. I do Thai hot, Asian,
spicy, yeah.
Thai spicy.
Yeah.
Because I know what they're doing, all right? If you're like a white American and then you go to a Thai restaurant, they will give you the white scale of 1 to 10 in hotness.
Yeah.
And that is going to taste mild.
Yeah.
Ask for the Thai scale. If you're a white person, go to the Thai restaurant and ask for the Thai hot scale.
I have a friend that did that and he regretted it. he thought he was strong.
He was a white boy?
Yeah, white dude, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not the whiteness, I guess. It's like how accustomed are you to really spicy food, and how extreme do you want to go in your spice pain?
I think that statement is, out of my white friends, I feel like 1 out of 10 could handle spiciness, but my Asian friends, it's like 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
So
culturally, there's a lot more exposure and practice with spicy foods. Yeah.
All right.
No, those buffalo wings, they get a little zing in there.
Oh, mango habanero from Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Spicy as fuck, but it's good. Think of next question, last question. Think of at least 2 friends that should do this podcast. Call them out. And if I remember, you wrote this and you wrote an answer where you said you didn't want to say their names. Am I remembering correctly?
Well, originally I wanted to call out the special agents, that arrested me, but they're not my friends. And I'm actually under a court order under seal not to even reveal their identities. Unfortunately, I know their names.
Seems wise, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's actually a court order. So when I got my discovery, I have a court order and it listed about 20 FBI agents. I wanted to hear their side of the story. But since I wanted to do that because I thought our discussion would be me, saying things about what the FBI has done to me and my family, turn our family against us and shit like that. All the things I've did when I caught them surveilling me.
Yeah.
But since I can't really call them out now.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they'd want to do that anyway, right? To participate in a podcast, yeah.
But I don't know who this female cop is that we talked about in the earlier. I want her to step forward under, our same privacy protection, like a blurred voice, distorted, vision, all shadows. Maybe even have her put on a wig or something, or a thick coat.
Yeah.
I like to call her out. I mean, you know her.
Yeah.
I like to see her side of the story.
Cool. Yeah. I'll cut this out and I'll send it to her, the blurred, and then see if she's down to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Fascinating. Thank you for spending time with us and sharing your interesting story, man. That's a whole different world that most of us don't get to see. So thanks for taking time to tell us your story.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Slayer Ranger, thank you for spending 3 hours with us, man.
It's been 3 hours?
Yep.
Ooh, cheers.